The following program is hosted by immature, irreverent, obnoxious, and often disgusting young men. Listener discretion is advised.
This time on Nude Clan.
Fresh meat.
Shall we play a game?
Player to another.
Welcome back to another week of Nude Clan. This is your host, Cameron.
This is your other host, Kaleb Schweiss.
Kaleb Craig.
And Joseph DeGaulier.
In order of importance.
Hey, fuck off.
I took a second spot, just benefit of the doubt.
Aren't you
Cameron.
Always the second spot, Kaleb?
No. I think our
Always
Ultima
number two.
I think our Ultima audience is evidence enough of that being a fallacy. What are we going to be doing this week, guys?
I think you guys are reviewing Diablo, are you not?
That's what we came here for.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did beat Diablo, didn't we? I mean, it's been so long since I beat Diablo. I kind of forgot what we were
I
doing.
see how it is.
I mean, admittedly, there were some problems along the road for others.
Oh, just little tiny issues.
Yes.
Yeah, that might have gotten in the way just a little bit.
Things that could have been avoided.
So besides me replaying Diablo, what has everybody else been doing in the realm of video games?
Craig?
I've just been playing Just Cause 3 and then playing
Just
more
Cause?
Diablo 3. Yes, Just Cause. Always Just Cause.
So why are you playing Diablo 3?
Because I want to platinum it eventually, so I started a hardcore character. And,
Okay. So explain to us what a hardcore character is.
Alright, so if you play a hardcore character, if you die at all during the game, that character is just fucking gone.
So wait,
No more dude.
can you save and load him?
No.
Oh, dude.
He's just fucking gone, and everything is just
It's just gone.
not there anymore.
Wow. So it's gone then?
Yeah,
Is that what
it's
you're-
just gone.
It's just fucking gone.
Just fucking gone.
It's just fucking gone.
Yeah. And it's also, like, disconnected from any of your previous playthroughs, so you can't give your little dude any help from a previous character through the stash, so you can't share items with him.
Oh, wow. That's brutal.
So yeah, it's a start over, and it's been...
So that's only for the hardcore of players.
for
Okay.
the hardcore players.
So how do a lot of people beat the game on hardcore? Like, is that one of the things to get the platinum?
Yeah, it is. There's
That's
actually
sick,
there's
dude.
3 trophies for it. There's getting to level 70, which is the highest level.
Okay.
And then there's beating Diablo and then Malthius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't there a difficulty level higher than hardcore?
No, hardcore isn't a difficulty level. You can still choose from, normal, hard, very hard.
Well, that
all
makes it a
those.
little better.
Yeah, but hardcore is a separate mode, so you
okay.
can play it on normal if you wanted to. But I'm playing through it on hard. So.
Okay. All right, what about you, Cameron? What have you been up to?
I really haven't played a game since we last met.
Why is that?
I just haven't. I don't know why. I'm playing Fable, and I am enjoying it. I just haven't played it. Yeah, I bought the game.
Well, he didn't play it this week. He played.
I didn't play it this week. I played it last week, and I'm going to start playing it again because I have to now.
I had to replay Diablo, and that was pretty much my week. So on to you, Kaleb Schweiss.
Well, I did a little bit of the Final Fantasy IV interlude for Ultima, and I kind of messed around on Diablo a little bit more last Sunday. I just kind of went through the floors. I went through like the first 9 floors with my warrior on a New Game Plus, and just killing everything in one hit.
Okay.
It didn't give you. It doesn't give you any experience though.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I think it gives you experience once you get down to the lower levels.
It does. I think it's based on the level of the creatures versus your level.
So the bottom floor is like pretty much where you have to be every time you replay the game?
Probably the bottom 2, I would imagine. Plus, I'm probably going to go back up to town and buy a bunch of those little potions that up your strength and shit like that from the witch, and just max everything out.
I looked for those and I couldn't find them on my playthrough.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, they're there, so... I don't know what else to say.
I think they might be there at certain points and then are gone sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I can't.
Kind of like the weapon guy.
The kid?
No, I mean the weapons merchant.
Oh, the kid does the same thing. Like, it'll always be there if you're... It's just based on the certain floors you're in, like the design of the floor. It changes based on that.
So I guess we'll just wait till our review till we talk about that now, won't we? You guys talked about... So it's me and Schweiss are reviewing Diablo today. What's our next review?
The next one is Kaleb and I on Ico.
Yeah, you're pulling triple duty. Kaleb, you got the Final Fantasy, you got the Ico, you got the Diablo.
Yeah, and I was looking at the sheet that we got sent.
Sheet.
And I feel like there's a larger volume for the rest of us in the games.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, in the
Did I mess up?
The standard run, I'm in there 3 times. You're only in there twice.
What are you talking about? Go find the little list of our...
You should take that as a compliment.
All right.
People just want to play games with you, Kaleb.
What Kaleb is talking about right now is we have an order to who is going to review games when, not what they're going to review.
Okay, here's the order that we trusted Joe to evenly distribute here. It's Kaleb and Cameron for Fallout 4, Schweiss and Joe for Diablo, Schweiss and Kaleb for Eco, Cameron and Joe... Oh, wait, never mind. There's 3 Joes, 3 Kalebs, 3 Camerons. Oh, no, there's only 2 Camerons.
No, there's Kaleb.
No, there's 3 Camerons. Yeah, okay, never mind.
Okay, all right. Hey, look.
Kaleb.
You did trust me. And you were right, too.
All right, fine.
Look at that. That's so weird.
I just don't understand why that's such an accomplishment. I mean, it's just pairing 4 people together and keeping them randomized.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think it was randomized.
Wait, I want to hear you clap more in the thing.
Clap off camera.
Okay, all right. I don't.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
See now, what's the accomplishment? Doing it right, or is it thinking that I did it wrong? Like who?
I think congratulations is just deserved all around.
Well, I mean,
we've done list. We've created a list, and we've now come to understand list.
Yeah.
Have we decided what we're going to do for Hog Status Trophy?
I'm not sure. Cameron and I were. Cameron sent me some ideas that it was like a Hog Status ring. So kind of like the Super Bowl rings.
We would go online and we would get these signet rings created.
Did you go online to see how much that would cost?
Yes, but you could get it cheaper than where I was looking.
What were you looking at?
I was looking at just sterling silver signet rings, but they're like $80. So,
for a thing
for a year. I could see that.
So there's two different ways we can do this. We can all have our own Nude Clan Gaming signet ring, and then once one of us has achieved hog status, their signet ring is replaced with a gold ring, either real gold or just gold colored ring.
No.
Or we just award the hog status signet ring if
just
you achieve
award
hog
the
status.
hog status
each
once a year. Yeah.
Okay.
And that way it's like with Super Bowl rings, like, oh, he's got 3 rings,
Just have something with like just the year on it.
And then the hog below it. I like that. It's just hog 2016.
No. It'll say hog on the signet part, but then if you pull it off, it says the year on the inside.
Oh, I thought we were going to do in Elvish. What was it?
Oh yeah, may the list go on in Elvish.
Yeah,
that
inside.
can be inscribed on the outside.
Can you
of the
like
band.
throw it into the flame, and that's when you can see it.
Or we could say may the list go on, and then we have the date.
Oh, that'd
in
be great.
I feel like it should be one of those special rings that you can just like put in wax, and it like is your seal.
Oh yeah,
this is a signet ring.
And then I send it off to that's my signet ring.
Yeah.
No,
That'd be sweet.
that would be pretty awesome. I actually am in full support of the yearly ring thing. I do like the full hog trophy, and that might be cheaper in the long run, depending on how long we do the show, of course. But
Because it would just be passed around as opposed to getting a new
yeah,
ring
but I
over
do
here.
kind of like having recognition long term for
But-
kicking ass.
Exactly. But
like in 2000.
it's just the hog
in
status trophy.
2016, I wasted a lot of time.
Hog status trophy. I don't want it to just be
Should we just like give
a plastic pig on a pedestal. I want it to actually be. I actually want it to be awesome. And so doing the signet ring is an easier thing to do and keep it awesome instead of just a little plastic.
Should I grab
plastic trophy?
the thing for Cameron?
No, don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I
Because
have
if you
to say
do
a
it,
P,
then
I'll say it
Cameron
to
will
the
just
side.
back off 2 more inches from the mic, and that would be annoying.
They
Unless
gave
he-
me the mic to make me sound underwater. That's why.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be cool if if we put like a little sound chip in the ring, and whenever you push it down, it's like.
A triumphant squeal.
Yeah.
I think you might be looking at a watch.
And then you get like 4 of them together, and it's just this earth-shattering screech.
Have you guys?
The windows
do you guys
break.
remember that cartoon growing up as a kid? It was like these a whole bunch of kids, and they had these rings. And when they come together, they could summon that one Planet Go
Captain
guy.
Planet?
Captain
Captain
Planet,
Planet.
Captain Hog.
Captain Hog for Nude Clan.
I've never heard of this show.
Oh, really?
Oh, come on.
Really?
Wow.
We must
I feel
unite.
so left out.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a good show. But yeah, no, that's kind of where we're at with the hog status trophies. I think we all are in agreement on the ring thing. I think it sounds legit.
Our little Super Bowl rings for Nude Clan.
Yeah, and I mean, essentially,
Super gaming.
if one of us plays one of the games that the other people are playing, we're gonna win.
Well, not necessarily.
If you could squeeze a few more games, someone here has a lot more free time than everyone else.
Yeah,
so it
looking
sounds
at you,
like it's going to be.
I understand that was a joke. so
I'm
fuck
glad
off.
I'm glad you're starting to realize what jokes are, Joe.
Hey, welcome to funny.
All right, so I have to bring up something. So last week we did talk about a controversial subject, and every time we talk about something controversial on Ultima, we usually get flag for
Oh
it.
yeah, there's always flack.
But thinking that this was a brand new show and talking about something controversial, we thought, nothing's going to happen. But in fact, there was at least one person who commented.
Right, and this was in regards to our piracy in gaming episode of
So
last week.
all of us agreed pretty much unanimously that piracy was bad for the gaming industry as a whole. And so I'm just going to read off this rebuttal.
You want to read half of it, and we'll switch off.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. This is from Intercept on January 21st.
Oh, not Interceptor.
Not Interceptor from Final Fantasy VI. Okay. The idea that piracy harms sales is false. It's an accusation perpetuated by the media. Assumption
Okay.
number 1. Okay, first off, piracy is a wrong term. The real term to use is borrowing. When you go to the library and borrow a book, movie, CD, etc., that someone else purchased and read through, listened through, or watched, when you are done, you return it, but you have completely finished it. The internet is a library of information and content for everybody, and every human should have the right to download and borrow any content. Says who? That's what I say. When you borrow the latest Iron Maiden CDs to see if it's good, or to listen to it until you decide to buy the CD, that is borrowing. When you want to read the latest Batman comic and download it from the web, you are borrowing it.
Okay, is that the end of a paragraph?
Same applies to video games and movies. You can read B.
Okay, all right. We should probably respond to A first.
Yeah.
One of the problems I have with that is the library paid for the book in the first place. Admittedly, none of the people who use it,
They
hundreds,
paid for the right to lend it out.
right. It's a legal
Exactly.
And those
form.
piracy sites have not. And there are legal ways of borrowing a game.
Yeah,
There are legal ways, and you usually have to pay for them.
Right, but if your site's getting shut down, it's not a fucking legal way.
See, this is just, you don't have a right to anything on the internet. You just don't. This is someone who put their time.
That's the assumption that
on
you
the
have.
line.
That's the assumption. Exactly. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
The assumption is that you have the right to that. But what makes it a right? Did you and the internet decide that it was a right to have everything on the internet?
I mean,
they-
isn't that a little socialist actually? So everyone gets
as I said last
everything.
time, if you're
No
a
one.
communist, you will not agree with me. And I think,
Everyone gets to enjoy content.
yeah,
Everybody.
yeah.
Enlightenment of the nation.
So if everything is free and everything, so should child porn also be?
Oh God.
Well, that's a separate thing.
No,
I think it
with
is.
that assumption. Okay, so that's assumption number one is that everything should be available for everyone.
Right, and if it was free for everybody...
And if it was free for everyone, then the people who are making the game should not have to have expenses or pay employees. We should all just be under.
Right, but they
That
do,
is
and
socialist.
since they do,
What do you suggest?
it's not okay. All right, so anyway, here's argument number B.
That's communism, not socialism.
Piracy or borrowing has in fact shown that it helps sales. Most of the people borrowing movies
Where?
and games by downloading them are teenagers and adults.
Actually, hold on. I'm sorry, Caleb. I wasn't done talking about A.
Are you ever done talking?
No,
I was thinking
no, and I want this. I want this listener to know it's okay to have a different opinion.
No,
than
yeah, we're
ours,
not like trying to attack you.
but
We're
we
just
will
justifying.
We might tear apart your thing here a little bit. I mean, it's fair that you have a different opinion.
spitting on you.
Get your diseased saliva off
The first
me.
assumption is that when something is perpetuated by the media, it is wrong. That was his first assumption in that top paragraph there.
Yeah.
Is that the assumption that, or the idea that piracy is wrong is something perpetuated by the media. He states that, but there's a logical gap there, and the logical gap is that we all agree that whatever the media says is bad. And so I just want to tell you that if you're doing a logical argument, that part needs to be amended.
So one thing though that I wanted to say is if really in the end piracy helps game sales,
Then they would perpetuate that.
then the gaming developers, the studios themselves would go, hey, no, this is okay because this actually helps us in the
Some
end.
have, and he lists those, but as a whole, no.
Yeah, just because one group of people says that it's okay doesn't mean the industry says it's okay. They can't represent everybody.
Yeah,
I think that's madness to assume that a couple studios or
and
whatever.
to assume that all media is evil. Also, I mean,
Media.
This is media.
Yeah, media has some semblance of an agenda, I suppose.
So is he just talking about the
But if
news media?
if it
or-
helped, no, he says the media.
So the media, so he's grouping all of it into one.
Yeah.
So we're perpetuating. We're perpetuators.
That's assumption number one.
Okay.
Perpetuators.
That assumption bugs me. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, here's number 2. Piracy or borrowing has in fact shown that it helps sales. Most of the people borrowing movies and games by downloading them are teenagers and adults around 20 to 35 years of age. Guess who the majority of people buying movies, video games, music, and books are? Those exact ranges of people. That does not mean that it's necessarily helping sales. That just means that's the market for media. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Those exact age ranges... Oh, never mind. In fact, by borrowing movies and games online, I discovered many new genres and types of games and movies I enjoy. So I have purchased a ton of games and movies that I would have never cared about thanks to piracy.
Something tells me that the word ton was used. Just used maybe incorrectly there. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't think you purchased over 2,000 pounds of...
Well, I mean, in a literal sense, yes. Well, I'm assuming, as we said before, we have listened to music and then bought the CD. We said that last time.
Right.
I mean, it is possible to pirate something and then decide, okay, you know what, I want the highest quality version of it with the artwork and whatever, and I shall go and buy it. But that is not a majority.
Here's a question for
That's definitely not a majority of the people.
Yeah, why would you
bringing it
go
down.
and buy something you already have?
Here's a
Like,
question to Caleb.
And just because it helps you to purchase games doesn't mean it helps as a whole. And if it did help as a whole, that's what the media would be trying to sell. They would be trying to sell you piracy so that you will buy their full game based upon his A and B statements
Right,
and his thesis.
I have a question for Caleb. Do you feel more inclined now to buy Windows because you've pirated Windows?
No, not
Or
really.
you already have it, so you don't see a need to spend money on
I
it?
already have it, so I don't see a need to spend money on it.
There you go. That's
But
what
that's, I mean, we can't group my opinion with the majority, just like we can't group his opinion
all right.
with the majority.
That's true.
This
That's
is
very
what
true.
this is what I'm thinking. Okay, first off, he also makes some claims here. that I just want more information for. First off, what was it? The 15 to 25-year-olds? What was the age group?
20 to 35.
20 to 35-year-olds. Are they the ones who are purchasing the most?
That's what he said, yeah. And just
I want to see like who does purchase the most.
Well, even
media.
if they're not, I mean, if the majority of people
I have a
purchasing
feeling that
it,
some guy in his 40s probably buying plenty of Blu-rays.
Yeah.
But he says the largest group.
right?
Well,
but
I just want to know. I just want that one. I'm not going to assume I'm wrong on. I just want to know.
well, I mean, the only part about that bothers me is just because they're the majority of people both pirating and buying doesn't mean that the piration leads to the buying. They're just the most people who give a fuck about
we use the
material.
word piration, and I'm pretty sure it's not a word.
Whatever.
I noticed
Whatever.
it. I listened to the episode last time. I was like, piration.
Well, we've coined it
Pirating.
as a word.
Pirating.
So anyway, yeah, just because you're pirating it and the same age group is purchasing it doesn't mean they're correlated in any way.
Yeah.
I mean, certain people like certain things. And
Yeah,
if,
it doesn't mean that the person pirating is then going out and buying. It just means that there's a group that are buying, and then there's also a large group that are pirating,
Right.
and they both like the same content.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily.
I mean, that's most likely what it means.
That's a logical fallacy to group those two together. It really is. All right, a good example of this
There's lots of those here.
are the Witcher 3 developers CD Projekt Red. They have openly released their own game on torrent sites to be downloaded and without any DRM or protection, so it's easier to use. Not only do the fans love them for doing this, their games sell amazingly, and The Witcher 3 won multiple Game of the Year awards and sold a ton of copies worldwide. Their success as a company is largely due to all the downloading they allowed for their games like The Witcher 1 and 2. Some other great examples of research done on piracy and entertainment, the media show, and there's a few links here. Movie sales, music sales, video games, and book sales
Because the
are
music industry wasn't destroyed by the internet.
at an all-time high in
I think
piracy.
that's the proof. The music sales are way down.
Yeah, it's
There
because
wasn't a platinum album last year. There is this year, oddly enough, but there wasn't one last year.
yeah, but people are buying stuff differently
Not a
too.
single platinum album.
They're buying singles.
That includes
What platinum this year?
Adele's CD.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Well, that doesn't necessarily prove that wrong, though. Just because CD sales are going down doesn't mean the music industry
They
is.
don't say what the
Admittedly,
iTunes sales are.
admittedly, the music industry was destroyed because of piracy, though. There's no argument against that.
There is no argument. That is what happened.
Anyway, it's supposedly at its highest right now, the piracy. It's all lies that piracy hurts the industry when in fact it greatly helps it in the long run by helping people discover new games, music artists, movies, and things they would never have found out. Teenagers that download movies are the people going to the theater to watch movies like 6 times a month, buying full price tickets. Now, if that's hurting sales, then I don't even know.
It is hurting sales. And here's the thing with your renting argument also. Movies used to have a release schedule that would make them the most profitable in the 90s. And that release schedule was that they would put out the movie, and it wouldn't be pirated. And it would be in theaters for it would be in theaters for as long as it needed to be.
Yeah.
So if the movie was still selling tickets, people were still going, then they would keep the movie in the theater.
Right, that's where they made their money.
Now, they still do the same thing, but only if it's a mega hit does it last more than like 2 months in the theater. Right?
Oh, yeah. There's stuff from not too long ago that just gets pushed to the
things
Blu-ray.
last about a month at the most. And then they would wait 6 months before they would put out the VHS tape of the thing. And then that would sell really well. Or people would rent it. And by the way, they did make money off of people renting things at Blockbuster. And now what they have, because of piracy, they have to put out the movie really quickly
to capture those sales.
capture the sales, and then they have to it's sometimes only like 3 weeks or something like that. DVD's out, so that they can catch that before the piracy catches up to it. They're in a race to get rid of the piracy, and oddly enough, despite plenty of people watching all these movies, the movies are making less money. And it's not necessarily physical copies either. I mean, it's downloads and stuff like that. And people would rather, I think people would not want to purchase something on iTunes and would rather just get it online on a torrent.
Yeah.
Which is, it does lose money. It's ridiculous to think otherwise. It's stupid, honestly.
All right, so we have another point here is point C. Lastly, many games don't have demos, and people will download the game to see if they like it before spending $60 or $70 on it new. Not to mention that many 80s to 90s and early 2000s games are now rare, and a company like Konami isn't going to make any sales from you buying Snatcher for $400 on eBay used. True. In that case, unless you are a collector or purist, just download the game and play it.
I agree with that very last
With the
part.
we had the discussion about availability last time.
Yeah,
we
I'm
did.
fine with that.
I'm wondering how far he went into this podcast.
Many renowned video games journalists, yes, video games journalists for sites like Giant Bomb, GameSpot, IGN, US Gamer, etc., have been working in the game industry for 20 plus years, actually advocate doing this on their podcast and openly admit to downloading ROMs and ISOs of games to play on emulators because it's the only way to do it, or because they want to play through the game and will eventually get around to doing it. All right, that's a decent point. I don't care what the other podcasts say. I could honestly give two shits what their opinion on the matter is. They're probably entitled fucks, but, you know, we'll move on from that. Piracy or borrowing from the internet is beneficial for the health of the entertainment industry. Also, don't forget about countries like South America, China, India, Africa, where games don't ever come out, and even if they
I don't
did,
care if they pirate.
people are too poor to buy them, so they
I'll
openly
state
download
that.
games and move the movies there. And it's so cool to go visit Chile or something and find a Tarantino fan or Mass Effect fan, even though they don't have the games there. That's the distribution thing we talked about last week. That's a little bit more acceptable. But
in most of our eyes, yes.
yeah, like if it's not available, that's fine. And it doesn't mean,
But if it is available,
if it is available.
and you got the money,
Also, I don't really understand how he's saying that, pirating helps him find the games that he would want to play. I mean,
Wouldn't you pirate something that you're interested in?
yeah, okay, so for instance, the fucking YouTube is full of people playing these games that you can see gameplay and how they like it, and you could obviously
Twitch.
easily find games that you would be interested in through that, and you don't have to fucking pirate it and steal money from the industry to do that.
No. That's a good point.
or
I mean,
you can rent something from Redbox for $1.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and fucking
Or-
Pandora isn't fucking pirating music. So why? What's your reasoning for pirating music for when you can just listen to it on fucking
Obviously.
Pandora,
Well,
Spotify,
here's the proven
Amazon?
thing. The proven thing is that the music industry went down because of piracy.
Yeah, exactly.
the movie industry had to do a lot of maneuvering to not
It
follow the
did,
same
and
path.
the movie industry is always behind the music industry by about 10 years, and so they saw it coming and they tried to maneuver out of the way, and they've done a relatively good job in doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're never going to stop piracy, but I think as a
Well, holistically, it's not the right thing to do. I mean,
ethically, I think it's wrong. But
yeah, I mean, thanks for the rebuttal, though. You
Yeah.
had some decent points and a lot of.
I would like to see numbers, though.
No, yeah, that would be really cool. Send us some links with
more
some
more
actual
than just some
evidence.
game companies saying it's okay.
Right.
I want to see in exactly what way pirating correlates to or
Right, I mean-
causes better
It's
game.
it's as if
game
we
sales.
as a people we just need to accept the fact that because Will Smith and what's his name dudes that are boycotting the
Oscars.
Will
Oscars.
Smith?
Yeah, he's boycotting
Oh,
it
is
too.
it really?
Yeah.
Spike Lee?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we're going by your logic, we have to assume that every black person is against the Oscars because Spike Lee and Will Smith are against it. And you know what? I bet you Samuel L. Jackson doesn't give a fuck that there isn't anybody in there.
I don't know. He might actually.
Maybe he will. I don't know, but it's not just because a few people are okay with it doesn't mean
Outliers.
everyone should be okay with it. Yeah, that's a really bad way to think logically.
It's also bad to assume.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of assumptions in his thing, and that's all I like. Just reform your argument. I would like to see where you.
No, yeah, and then show us send us some articles. I want to actually see the things that you're claiming.
And you can
actuality.
you can email us at fffanatics123@gmail.com. Our website is going to go through some overhaul in the next couple weeks, so
What was that?
you might not be able to just comment on there, and that comment might be deleted, but it's not because I want it deleted. It's just because we're
What
going
was
to go
that
through
email
some
again?
website stuff. fffanatics123@gmail.com. It's our Ultima email.
Okay.
We have a contact page on Nude Clan,
We also have
But the site's going down. So,
but the site's going to go down.
but then also, if you have a new listener, old listener, and have an opinion on it, we would love to hear it.
Yeah, no,
We
it's
want to hear
great. I mean,
everyone's opinion
even though
on
we
this.
disagree, it's still good to have these conversations to get us thinking, to get you thinking, to get us thinking. I mean, there's some good points in there that I didn't think of before, even though most of them I don't agree with. I think are shitty.
We want to do some plugs before we go into the Diablo.
Yeah, you guys, as you know, hopefully, we have a Final Fantasy podcast. It's called Ultima Final Fantasy. We just barely recorded our
Season 1 finale.
Season 1 finale, our retrospective on the first 14 numbered Final Fantasy games. And yeah, you can check that out at ultimafinalfantasy.com.
You can also check out this show at nudeclan.net, although there might be a redirect when you look at this to bring you to a new site. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to figure it out. Our websites are just too spread out. You can also, another podcast we got is Godzilla Podcast, the Godzilla Podcast on iTunes. Check it out. If you love Godzilla and you love commentaries, that's the one.
Or if you don't love all of them, I'll be there. I'm not gonna be there for the bullshit ones like the one you just watched, though. Even though it is
King
different
Kong
enough.
versus Godzilla.
Based on what you told me, I'm willing to
American edition?
I'm willing to not call you out on that being a bullshit addition to your yearly. It's close. It's like teetering.
We'll talk about that in the last 30 minutes of this episode, I'm sure.
All right, I'm sure we will.
Super Sexy Swinging Fan Fiction, also on iTunes and wherever you get your podcasts, except for Stitcher, because fuck Stitcher.
Yep.
You can find me at Joseph DeGollier on Twitter. That's DEGOLYER.
Me, just at UFF Podcast. It's the Ultimas.
Me at Nude Clan Cam.
On it every time.
It'll never get old.
And then me at Obsidian Bar.
BAH.
Yeah, BAH.
You should probably say that every time. Cause
I don't understand.
Obsidian Bar
Well,
could be
could be
BAW or
Okay,
BA.
just think black sheep.
Obsidian
and then,
Bow.
it's fairly obvious.
Yeah, but some people put BAs and BAA or...
Bah.
Yeah, like a sheep bawing. Bah. It's too
There's an H at the end, but there are two A's.
There's an H.
But it's two A's. It's
It could be two A's.
B-A-A-H. Yeah.
They just put however many
Maybe you
A's
should
they want.
You should have a really breathy end to it. A sitting bah.
Yeah, like a bunch of H's,
Bah.
and like somehow make them smaller.
That would
Fuck with
be
Twitter.
fantastic if I could do that.
Yeah, well, shit. Thanks for the comment, though. That was great.
Let's get into Diablo.
Ooh, let's.
From the depths of Hades, evil rises to corrupt the living. It brings pain and death to all that it touches. And it murdered your family, destroyed your village. Now you must enter into its lair on a dark mission of vengeance. Good luck.
All right, so I think we should start this off with an overview of the story of Diablo. Let's begin. A conquering hero known as Leoric established himself as the king of Condurus, a kingdom in the western continent of Sanctuary. He appointed Tristram as the capital of his kingdom, and used the abandoned cathedral there as his throne and central point of governance. Not soon after, King Leoric's most trusted advisor, Archbishop Lazarus, was drawn deeper into the cathedral by the Lord of Terror's Soul Stone. The Archbishop, whether out of fear or temptation, shattered the Soul Stone, releasing Diablo's trapped spirit. Unable to take King Leoric himself as a physical host, Diablo had the Archbishop Lazarus kidnapped the king's son, Prince Albrecht, and brought him down the cathedral for Diablo to corrupt and use as his host to fully manifest as the Lord of Terror.
Yes. Let me continue. In a slightly different voice.
Yes.
The king, already deranged from Diablo's attempt to possess him, went mad in his search for his lost son, sending many to their death without out of suspicion of guilt.
Yes.
Fuck, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
Ultimately, Lazarus led the town's warriors into the cathedral as a trap for the butcher, a minion wielding a bloody cleaver. King Leoric's physical form had withered away, but his soul found no peace and returned as a giant skeleton, still wearing his golden crown.
Tristram's hero.
Several heroes travel to Tristram, hearing rumors of corrupting evil, vast riches, and arcane magic. The heroes were assisted in their journeys by me, Deckard Cain, a descendant of one of the Horadrim. Canonically, it was Aiden, the playable warrior character and the son of Leoric, who shot and ultimately vanquished Diablo. Oh, wait, spoiler alert, he wins. Deckard, you dog! Thinking he was able to contend with this evil, Aiden forced Diablo's soul stone into, spoiler alert. Actually, I don't want to say what happens at the end there. After returning to... he kills Diablo and some stuff happens. Yes. Okay. All right. We can stop the music now, I think.
All right. So before we get too far into the story of the game...
Well, I think we actually went all the way through the story.
We did go through the story, but before we talk about too much more and to completely overdo the last review episode we have,
okay,
I have put together a little history of Diablo.
Yes, the history of Diablo!
All right, so as we all know, Diablo is an action RPG released by Blizzard Entertainment. It was originally released...
I thought it was Blizzard North.
It was, well, Blizzard North is the studio, Blizzard Entertainment is the publisher.
Okay, we're gonna get all technical here.
Kaleb 1, Joe 0. All right, so Diablo was originally released on December 31st, 1996. It would be released to critical acclaim with a rating of 94 on Metacritic.
What does it matter what Metacritic gives it? Isn't it Nude Clan that has to give the true rating?
I agree.
Clan,
Stay tuned for
Nude
true
clans,
rating.
Nude clans will be added to Metacritic and someday, I'm sure. Okay. So the game was mainly praised on its replayability, atmosphere, graphics, and kind of eerie score, musical score that the game carried. The side quests are also a highly appreciated aspect, and the game featured an online multiplayer version. We didn't explore this feature, but the idea of it is pretty interesting to me, at the very least.
It's the Battle.net stuff.
Yeah, Battle.net.
Are you guys going to explain how that was supposed to work?
I think it was the first... Was it the first thing to use Battle.net?
I think so, yeah.
Blizzard would force... I think they forced them to put their game on Battle.net.
How is that supposed to work, that multiplayer?
You just play the game.
It's basically a single-player campaign, except with other people. It's just like the Diablo.
It's just the same storyline, same everything, but you have a friend with you. So
it's like the Diablo 2 multiplayer. Oh, you've never?
I have no idea. So,
okay, so
it's like that different type of game. What's it called? That made
Torchlight?
No, not quite Torchlight, but the game that Torchlight is like.
Diablo?
Torchlight is like Diablo.
Damn it. There's that other game where there's an archer, there's a mage, there's like a barbarian warrior dude.
Gauntlet?
Gauntlet. That's what I was
Diablo
thinking
Diablo
about.
2? No.
Gauntlet. So it's kind of like Gauntlet, except it's Diablo.
Yeah, it is. That's essentially
But which came first, Gauntlet or Diablo?
I think Diablo might have
Diablo.
I'm pretty
So
sure.
Gauntlet is actually a copy of Diablo, so it's the other way around.
They're all
Diablo
copies of
was Diablo was influenced by another game, but I've never played it, and I forgot what it was called. So another interesting fact about Diablo is that it was initially going to be a turn-based RPG. So essentially, what would happen is you would walk up to the creature, and then you would take turns on attacking each other.
like turn-based combat. Thank you.
Yeah, doesn't that sound horrid? Doesn't that sound bad for Diablo?
Yeah, just because we got the nice click fest that Diablo is. You just click on wherever you want to go.
Right. And so once Blizzard acquired the original studio Condor, they were able to convince the team to change the originally turn-based Diablo to an action RPG. And they did this by programming it in and let them try it out, and I am very thankful that they did. So it got its first and only expansion in 1997 titled Diablo Hellfire. And
Gauntlet is older.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the one that was based off of.
Yeah, maybe.
In 1998, Blizzard also released... the Hellfire was released by Sierra Entertainment. Initially, they started working on it, but then they turned it over to Sierra to finish it up.
Okay.
I guess it just was something they wanted to outsource. I don't know why. But they released it for PlayStation, and Hellfire brought a couple classes, although a few of them were hidden. The only one that you could actually play as without, hacking it, I guess, was Monk. And he fights well with the staves or bare hands and gains a bonus from not wearing armor, just like in Final Fantasy or in actuality, if you think about it. And there were also 2 new dungeon environments added, the Hive and the Crypt, and each of them contained new monsters to fight, but there weren't any random quests, shrines, or libraries. And Hellfire, I don't know, the interesting thing about the Crypt and the Hive is it breaks canon.
Okay.
that I found out because there's another final boss at the end and it changes it, so it's not considered canon at all.
Okay.
And so,
And that's why we didn't play it.
well,
The real reason is because I didn't have it.
yeah, no, my roommate did play that version and he just said it's, like 6 more floors of Diablo, so I don't see a problem with that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would have played it if I had it. But so as of August 29th, 2001, last time they released sales figures, Diablo sold about 2.5 million copies worldwide, and it was awarded GameSpot's Game of the Year award for 1996, which is kind of stretching it because it came out on the last day of 96, but whatever. And GameSpot continues to blow the game by placing it in the #1 spot of all time for PC games.
Even against Diablo 2.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Influentially, I guess it probably had more than Diablo 2.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. And
But none of the guys that worked on the original Diablo have worked on Diablo 3, right? None of the main guys, the Schaefer brothers. They all started. I think they're the ones who started the Torchlight series.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Torchlight. Actually, I would love to do a review on that.
We should all play Torchlight
Yes,
together.
because my PC can handle it.
It's a fun game, dude. It's like
Your PC
cartoonish.
probably could have handled Diablo.
Yeah, I could handle Diablo.
Yeah, but you don't have a drive.
No, but you can get a USB drive, hooks up to the USB port, or you can just download the game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
illegally?
legally.
Yes. No, you can't. Not for Diablo 1.
Okay, then I would just have to get that USB drive.
Okay. As long as we're on the same page here. I mean, we did just go off on piracy. Now you're talking about downloading Diablo 1, which I know.
It was stated last time that we have been hypocrites, so
It's true.
I just didn't know that you.
as long as you
read.
recognize your hypocrisy.
Well, it sucks
you can
because
find it.
it sucks. No, you can't.
Yeah, you can. It's on Amazon.
No. Well, yeah, if you buy the used disc.
Yeah.
Oh, you okay? I was talking about. I thought you could find it in a downloadable.
No, yeah,
version.
it's not downloadable. Sierra, I don't know why they don't have this game downloadable because they have the rights to it now. They turned it over to Sierra completely, and now it's
Do
just
they
like
even still live?
Sierra. I
Yeah.
don't fucking know. I haven't seen
Because if they
Game Pass,
don't, that
like-
would explain why.
Well, we can look it up, and you can type.
I guess we
Sierra
could,
Studios
but
and find out
I
whether
don't know.
they still exist.
I haven't seen a game from Sierra since like Tribes on PS2. That was for fucking ever ago. The game was cool, but
It was cool.
Off topic.
cheap Halo.
So story. Right. Story.
Yes. Well,
What did you feel about the story?
I felt that it was simplistic in a lot of ways, but it fit well within the game itself. I think the idea that, there's this cathedral in which there's all these people practicing the religion, obviously, and the king actually takes the cathedral as his throne. And then people start delving deeper and deeper to the cathedral because they're investigating because it's this huge building. I mean, it's 16 floors.
So
That's
it's
a lot
just
of,
this random cathedral with
I think
16
it's-
floors, and they don't know why. They didn't know why there's 16 floors
It's
there.
like 15 floors and then hell.
yeah, they unlock different parts of it. I guess it wasn't explored for a long time. And I don't know. I thought it was well done. I thought it was really interesting with the king when you go fight him as the skeleton king in one of the side quests.
That is cool.
You're basically fighting your king and you
That
get
sounds
his armor.
awesome.
Yeah, and it's a dungeon full of skeleton enemies, and then there's one big fucking skeleton, and you kill him and get the king's armor, and then when you put it on, the warrior's like all heartfelt and pumped about.
Wouldn't that be awesome to have this day and age be the person who leads you is this big, huge, like powerful person? That makes picking your leader
Skeletor.
really easy.
Yeah,
Back then, their kings are always the biggest, most powerful dude.
down with He-Man.
Nah.
But yeah, no, I thought that was cool, and then I thought the lore with Cain.
The little twist with Cain.
Yeah, little twist. I made fun of this.
My name is not. Yeah, go ahead.
He's like, I will now reveal myself to you. My true name is Deckard Cain. I'm like,
As opposed to just.
I'm like, oh wow, you really went undercover there, bud. Like, what was it like at their meeting with the Haradrim? They're like, all right, look, Cain, you got to go into hiding. What you got to choose a different name. What are you going to go by? Well, I'll just go Cain. No, come on, that's way too easy. Your last name is Cain. If you go by Cain, they're going to know who you are.
Cain, and I'm sticking to it.
Madness. This is my town, and I'm going to fucking stick with Cain.
And so, what did Deckard Cain do? Why did he have to go in hiding?
I don't know.
Well, the Haradrim are an ancient brotherhood who basically keep the demons of hell in place,
Okay.
as far as I remember, and he's basically there investigating this new uprising, this new
I don't know why I was
shift.
undercover.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, because the townspeople, some of them were turning evil. I mean, there's the butcher, there's the Lazarus guy who was the priest. He was he's a big head honcho dude, and he's turning evil, so he wants to like investigate kind of on the down low.
And the poor king's son.
Yes. And of course the king's son is kidnapped, and you're basically, that's your goal in the game, is to go find King Leoric's son, and you find him, but it's not pretty.
So, yeah, it's a very simple, it's kind of a story to give you some lore that you can explore, and then you just kind of go through the cathedral.
Yeah.
And through the catacombs and then down to hell. So the story, in effect, is not really that important to the game. I think that it's cool what they do, and I think they do a much better job of telling a story in Diablo 2 than they do with Diablo 1. The little CGI kind of opening to the game and a couple other points in the game were really cool. The ending cutscene was like crazy.
Yeah.
When he does what he does.
You're not going to talk about it?
No,
Not yet.
No, dude.
Okay, you are going to say what happens.
No,
just
I'm
not yet.
I'm not gonna say what happens.
Dude, I think that's stupid.
game's
We're
been out
reviewing the
since
game.
97.
I think we can talk about what happens at the end.
What happens in the end?
Well, essentially, so you're supposed to go down to this cathedral to find the sun, right? And you stumble upon Lazarus in his area. And Lazarus has a kid on an altar who's just gutted, and you fight Lazarus, kill him off, which is a pain in the ass. Especially for Joe. That was a tough fight for you, I could see. For me, I just fucking walked over and killed them each one by one. But there's a lot of dudes in that room. So you kill him, and then you go up to the altar, and you're like, oh, this isn't Prince Albrecht. And so you're like, fuck, well, I got to keep searching. And then you go down another couple floors, and then you find the prince, who is now Diablo. And you do this big switch puzzle thing, and Diablo is released, and you fight him.
Yeah, and you kill him.
And the killing animation is fucking awesome for him. He's just like, for like 7 seconds, blood just fucking spraying out of him, just gushing. And then your guy, the warrior in canon lore, which we did just barely say.
Aiden.
Yeah, Aiden, the king's son, apparently.
Yeah, I named mine Joseph.
Yeah, mine was Kaleb. No, mine was Husk, actually. Husk saved the day.
Husk, go forth.
Yes. Go, Husk.
Husk.
But, you go down there, and to contain Diablo, the warrior thinks, I'm tough enough. I can keep this evil subsided, and you ram the crystal thing into your skull, the shard. And then shit goes downhill real fast.
So is there lore about the shard, or do you have to wait to the next game?
The shard holds Diablo.
Right, so
Diablo is in the shard.
Yeah, but he possesses the one that
or
holds
is it a link to Diablo, or Diablo is the shard?
He's in it.
He's in the shard, and he possesses the host. But the thing is he didn't want to leave the shard down there for someone else to possess it. He decided to take it himself because he thought that was the right thing to do.
I always thought that he's like, now it is my turn.
Yeah.
And by the way, having played Diablo 2, not to completion, but I've started a game and I've played it a lot. Suddenly the beginning of Diablo 2 makes sense.
Yeah.
Which it didn't before.
You're like, who is this fucker?
And considering just how big Diablo 2 was in comparison to this game, I'm not the only one confused at the beginning of Diablo 2.
Probably not, yeah.
But listen, lore, it's an interesting story, and the ending was really cool. Lore-wise, it's, it definitely goes deeper and deeper as the series goes on. But I think it's, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But the guys definitely didn't make it for story. And there's things like whenever Deckard Cain speaks, or anybody really, when they're telling a story, It's long. Like,
It is now time to fit the story in the game into this conversation.
Just the amount of time it takes for them to get all the exposition out of the way.
Are you calling me long-winded?
It was perhaps a little long-winded when I went to the... Yeah, it just... and it goes on for like 2 paragraphs. I'm like, please, just... Come on.
That's nothing.
This game was made in 97. They didn't know people in 2015, 2016 didn't have patience to read anymore.
I know. I guess at that time the voice acting would have been like legitimately really cool.
No, yeah, it was way cool.
So.
And
But what did this game do for RPGs though?
it made action RPGs a thing.
A dungeon crawler with it's an action RPG, which I think it was a new thing. It wasn't turn-based. It's dungeon crawler. It's instant satisfaction when you click on something and it falls down. So
Obviously, it gets tougher, but
yeah. As far as like the clicker games go, I think it was one of the first ones, and obviously it was a big one. And just the dark imagery and stuff with it, I think it was really cool. So
yeah, I think that's a lot of what it did for the genre as a whole.
Is there anything else you want to talk about the story with?
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of
Diablo
cool.
pretty evil.
He was a little evil.
So
little
one
evil.
thing though that I had to note, I was with Joe when he did the Diablo fight, and I have to say it was kind of anticlimactic. He just,
I rocked him.
He drew a few of those guards away, killed them, and then when Diablo came, he just sat there, clicking on them, and then he used a health potion or two, and Diablo was dead. I'm like, well,
I didn't even use a health potion when I started fighting Diablo. I was using health potions when there was a bunch of guys coming after me. But when you hit Diablo, he like cowers back for a second.
what?
So he wasn't hitting me.
Isn't
like
there
he
a
was
mage
before.
dude who can just disappear and reappear in Diablo?
Yeah, those are annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
so
are
he
gonna be like that.
should have been the epitome of the most annoying fight you'd have to go across. He should hit you.
Whenever you
disappear,
ran
and
away
reappear.
from Diablo, he would do some fucking huge
Yeah, he'd
damage.
hit hard if you moved.
But if you were hitting him...
Oh, so
doing much
basically the
damage.
easiest character is the warrior because
is,
he's
yeah.
always up and hitting him. And so
Yeah,
if you're a
it's-
mage or an archer or whatever, then Diablo's pretty much a fucking bitch.
I don't know. I think Dwayne had a really easy time with Mage. There were areas where he'd open up a room full of
I
skeletons.
had a really hard time with Mage.
and he would do like lightning arc, and kill 20 of them in a row.
But I didn't understand the hotkeys on the thing.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier. So yeah, I don't know. As far as the story goes, I feel like it suits the game well.
Okay.
I don't feel like it takes away anything. I don't know. What do you give it out of 10, Joe?
Out of 10 on story, 10 being that it worked perfectly, and I don't know, like the
You said that hardly had
long-winded,
any story.
the long-winded stuff with the telling of the stories was bugging me.
So you wish they would have broke it up a little more?
So in your opinion, did it feel like, hey, here's the story, now we got it out of the way, here's the game?
No, I just wish there was either a faster text box or maybe a less narration. I don't know, something. But how it worked, it just didn't work for me. So I'm just, otherwise, like, it fit. Like, it was a cool story. And looking back on it now, with the Diablo Wikia intro, it was interesting enough.
For its time.
For what it is.
For its time.
So I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8.
An 8 out of 10 for story.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 for story. Caleb?
Okay. I was thinking around 7, which is weird because you were more critical of it than me. But it is kind of.
I only really have the one issue with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of simplistic, and I don't think it really carried that much weight in the game. And I kind of like the story to have a little more. So I don't know. It's still strong. I still feel like it deserves it.
Okay. All right. Now we get to the fun part,
Yeah, the
Okay.
gameplay.
which is what this game is all about. This game. So you're on a grid basically, and whatever you click on is wherever your character goes.
Yeah,
And if there's a creature on that piece of grid, then you will attack the creature. You also have dungeons to explore. 16 dungeons, which are randomly generated each time you start a new game.
So completely randomly generated.
Completely new experience.
Do the dungeons generate as soon as you load the game, or
Yeah.
do they generate as you're playing through?
As soon as you load the game.
Load the game. Because I think I've had like reloads and it doesn't change.
Yeah, it's right when you start the new game. It just creates it.
It's suddenly a new thing. And you know what's fantastic about that is, even though I had to restart this game, and you can listen to last week's episode to find out why, it was like a new experience going through, and it was like, I'm exploring this new part of this thing.
Replayability is high then. So that's a different thing we'll talk about.
We'll get to that at the end. Just a really cool concept that it's just, random. Sorry, my mic dropped. Just the random dungeons, really cool, and I really like, the just hitting. It's so simple, like just the hit and shit to make it fall down, or you can use spells if you're a sorcerer, or even
what are the different classes of it?
You can even be a mage, or a warrior, and do mage stuff.
The 3 classes are warrior, rogue, and sorcerer.
And then what do they do?
The warrior is the just pure damage guy. Basically, the best way to build him is health and attack. A little bit of dexterity. With the sorcerer, the best thing to do is just basically pure magic and some health. And the rogue is more of a ranged attacker, so dexterity, probably a little bit of damage, and then health.
So you have stats you have to build off of.
Right,
and
yeah.
Depending on what class you start with, and they have more into one stat already?
Yes, they're already pre-built to have higher stats in a certain
they
region.
have maxes at a certain spot, too.
Okay.
Right, like the warriors.
So warrior can only learn so much dexterity.
Yeah, 60.
Okay, and then how much can the rogue learn?
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
It's probably higher.
It's probably like 255.
How much strength could the warrior?
It's 256 or 255, one of those two. And I don't know. And there's a lot of. It's really cool. Every time you level up, you get 5 level points or whatever you want to call them, and you basically can put them into these attributes. And for me, the first 16 levels, I put them all into damage. And my guy,
first 16?
Yeah, the first 16 levels, all damage.
That's all of the levels.
No,
the
his first 16 levels that he progressed.
Oh, okay.
So how often do you find yourself leveling up? Do you get
I got to level 25 by the end.
So of course, your little guys are worth so much experience, but you don't need as much experience to level up the first few levels. But as you go, the deeper you go, the more experience you get for killing people. So you keep leveling up at basically the same rate. As
it scales. It's not quite the same rate. It slows down a little bit, but the enemies do give you more experience.
Okay.
I think it does slow down though. That's how I felt. Like when you get floor to floor, it just slows.
I think killing things slows down because they're harder, and so it might feel like it's slowing down on the leveling up, but I'm not sure if it actually is.
Is grinding a thing in this game?
No, with this game, the enemies don't respawn when you clear a floor. They're just dead forever. Okay. Even if you don't clear the floor, like whatever's left is left.
So there's a finite amount of experience points you can actually gather.
Right, but the nice thing about the gameplay in this game is you can do, instead of load your game, you can do a new game with that character, and it'll load your character with the current level from the very beginning of the game.
So you can basically blow through the first few levels again.
Yeah, the best way to level up in this game, for me, in my opinion, is probably to do floors 1 through 3 twice, and then just go through the game.
So you're forced grinding.
Yes, and the reason why I say that is because I did a new game plus, essentially, is what it is. And the first 9 or 10 floors, I wasn't gaining any experience with my level 25 warrior. And I'm not sure what the math is behind that, but I know it's got to be related to the enemy's levels and my current level, and I'm just so high above them that I don't get experience for killing them. Mm-hmm. But if I would have restarted it earlier, I would have still gotten experience for the first 3 dungeons twice, probably.
Okay. Yeah. So replaying the first few dungeons to get that experience.
If you want, yeah, you can. I mean,
so that allows you to kind of give your character an easier way to get more even along stats.
You can, yeah, but I mean, for me, I didn't think evening the stats out was really a necessity.
The game is pretty good at keeping the difficulty at a spot where it's hard to do sometimes, especially for me. It was floor 12 and floor 15 were the real motherfuckers. It never went too brutal, and it never went too light.
Well,
Yeah.
I was watching Kaleb play, and he was doing what he called the glass cannon, all of his points into freaking damage, and he got to the part where he was facing all the ranged enemies.
Yeah, and that was problematic. And it wasn't because I was
had
dying.
issues with those guys, too.
It was because they were spreading out and I had to chase them forever. And that's another problem that this game's gameplay has is enemies will just run and run and run, and you will just follow them.
I'm pretty sure that anyone that knows you're gonna fucking kill them will run
There's
away.
a way.
I get it, but it's annoying.
There's a way to deal with that stuff that I figured out later on. I didn't realize that when you click on a guy and you don't click on anything else, your character will just follow that.
No, I know, but that's still annoying to me.
It's so
so
I was actually
time-consuming.
trying to click.
Oh, boy.
So is your character
Through to
faster
them.
than any of them?
No, they're the same speed.
So
You'll never catch them.
So you
Until you
wait
corner 'em.
until they turn around
Yeah.
to attack you.
Which is frustrating, but I can get over that. And I don't know. And another cool thing about the gameplay in this is the item drops that you get. They're always randomly generated. They're unique. There's and the reason why I never did anything with my magic is because I found armor that gave me boosts in magic. So all the books I would find, I would go throw them out inside of the town where you can just basically use as a giant treasure chest because no one takes your shit. And I would come back and I would throw on my little cap of the Magi and then my little breastplate that gave me extra magic, and then I'd learn all the spells that I could. And the nice thing about the spell level ups is the higher the level, the more damage, the more proficient the spell is, and the less mana cost.
So higher level spells, easier to use for a guy who doesn't have as much magic.
Correct. It's awesome.
Yep. The only magic I used as a warrior, I tried a couple times, but what I ended up doing was just having the town portal spell and some mana things so that I can just go to town when I wanted to, basically, and not have to use the scroll of town portals, which did drop all the fucking time in my second playthrough.
Yeah.
But the first time it hardly ever dropped, so that was kind of annoying. But yeah.
I don't know.
Randomized item drops are kind of cool.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that you did a lot, Joe, that I only think I did once was buying items from the people. I only bought one weapon from Griswold the whole game. I just bought like a two-handed axe. Yeah, everything else I just found and used.
What was the name of the kid who sits under the tree who sells you stuff?
I don't know the name of the kid.
But you know what I'm talking
The
about.
peg leg guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has some epic
Peg Leg
shit.
Boy, I think is what his name is.
Because I remember that he has really good items.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, they're so expensive though. It's like not worth it.
They're really expensive, but do they help gameplay at all?
They can, yeah, if you want them to.
Because
But
he
those
has
would be
randomly
cool.
generated weapons too, right?
Those would be
Yeah.
cool items if it were more than one playthrough, so you had all your gold from the previous one.
well, you can. When you start the game over, all of your inventory stays.
Yeah.
So if you can inventory
I
management.
may or may not have dropped all my gold before.
Well, the gold doesn't matter. I'd rather have the items than
I would
the
have
gold.
to do a scroll of town portal, go up to grab the gold, go down, defeat Diablo, and then start the new game.
Well, you wouldn't have to defeat Diablo. You can just do the new game at any time.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But you'd have to go.
But I want my gold.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the gold really matters.
Well, I'd want the gold for those super expensive items that the kid sells.
Yeah, I don't know. My items are better than
Are there
his.
useful things? Are there more useful things than his weapons to buy?
I think so. I think I found some pretty epic shit down there. And
The best stuff in the game was stuff that I found.
So what did you use your gold on then most of the time? Was it health potions, mana
health potions, I'd say.
Okay, when later on, if you're a warrior and you are on a level with a lot of range stuff, which is level 12 and level 15 and level 10 to some extent, level 10 was really hard my first playthrough. Level 10 was not nearly as hard on my second playthrough, and it just had to do with how the layout was randomly generated. If you're in a situation like that, then yeah, you're going to use up health potions like crazy.
So that's a good thing to save your gold for.
Yeah, and I mean, gold is not really an issue in this game. I never ran out of gold. I always had enough to do whatever I wanted.
Unless you started buying the kids' weapons.
Yeah, but I never did. So, I don't know. And another interesting part of the gameplay, I don't know. I really liked the side quests in the game. I mean, I don't know which ones you unlock.
Side quests are random also.
Yeah, there's like a random set.
So you'll
that
come
will
across
unlock.
something in the dungeon, or one of the people in town will say something, and that
And
will
then
start
generates a side quest.
a new side quest. And I think there's, I want to say there's like, How many side quests are available for this game? I remember reading about it.
There's like 12 or something like that.
I think I read somewhere
But you
that
only get,
your
like-
experience for side quests can change, and there might even be playthroughs where you don't even meet the butcher.
Right.
That's so weird to me because I thought that he was like an iconic piece of Diablo.
Well, that dude has to be there to tell you to go kill the butcher.
Yeah.
So if he's not there, then it wouldn't happen. I mean, he was there both times that I played it, so.
Yeah, I've most of the time gotten
The idea that you might have to replay this game in order to get all the side quests is crazy.
That's
and
awesome.
You know what's crazy? What's even worse about it, or crazy or worse? I'm not sure. Like, you could play the game over and over and over again and never get that side quest opened up just because of the randomness.
Yeah,
of
statistically, you could. Yeah. I don't know. Which ones did you get, Joe? What did you pick up?
There was the guy who said, "Don't attack me."
Oh, the coward guy?
Yeah, the coward guy.
And what quest is that?
Garbod the Weak, I think is what it's
Garbod
called.
the Weak. That's right.
Basically, you run into this goat fuck down in the tomb, and he's
Tell
like,
me about this goat fuck.
and then he's like, no, he's like, don't kill me. And he tells you he's going to make you something, and
I'm going to make you something over here.
and then you come back, you have to walk away a full screen away to where he's off the screen, and then come back, and then he's like, almost done soon, and he gives you like a ring to sate you. And then you go back out, and then come back in, and he basically says the item's too good, and he starts to attack you. And of course, I came back at the very end, and I just fucking one-shot the guy. Just brutal, just...
And what was the item?
It wasn't that great. It was just some sword he had. It was pretty good for the time if I would have killed him when I was supposed to, but I did not. Did you get any other ones? I think you got the Griswold one, didn't you?
I got the Griswold. Yeah, I got the
Or
Griswold
the
one.
Anvil of Fury quest.
And I got the butcher, of course.
Yeah, I guess that's a side quest.
I just thought so.
I think
I
that
thought
was
he was
it.
always a
I
mini
think that was
boss.
it.
I always thought Butcher was a mini boss.
So I got the guy, if you go and watch Joe's playthrough of Diablo when he looked up the guide on where to get the next area
I may
unlocked.
have misread something on the wiki. Yeah.
So essentially, after you kill Lazarus, you need to take his staff up to Cain, and Cain then tells you what to do.
Yes.
And
Sean Connery.
Joe was looking at this other quest,
Yes,
the
Cain.
Lakdanan guy, which is basically a leader of a squad of knights that your character, the warrior, is familiar with. And he's basically trapped in the mortal realm, and he's
on floor 14, supposedly.
yes, floor 14, and
If the quest is there.
he asks you to go find a potion for him that will basically release him from his pain. So essentially, you give him a phoenix down, and he dies. Or by coming back to life, but he just turns into like mist. And then he drops this really fucking awesome helm that is just kick ass. It's like 14 armor or something like that, which is nuts for a helm.
It's a
And yeah.
helm. It's not nuts.
I got that quest, and then I got the poisoned well one when I went through the second time. Basically, the water in the town will be all yellow, and there's little monsters putting poison in the town's well, and you have to go clear that whole floor
Okay.
to empty it. And it's just like a break in the wall.
That's cool.
Yeah, that one was pretty fun. And then there's another one where you little scamp dudes, they steal the tavern guy's sign. His sign outside his house, and you had to go find it and take it back to him.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one either time, but I've played it in the past and got it a few times. So I don't know, it's kind of fun. I think the side quests add a nice little treat for you. I mean, a lot of it's stuff you'll run into anyway, unless you just miss the anvil like me. I was like, what the fuck is this thing? It's just chilling in this really dark spot, and I'm like, fuck that.
I think the game can be rough on certain floors based upon what you're fighting against and based upon what your character is.
Yeah.
Something that could be seen as a possible like problem, I think, is that there's always creatures on certain floors that seem to group up together in insane amounts.
Yeah, the spitters.
So much so that like the player shouldn't be able to handle that ever. And the only way that you're going to deal with it that I could see with my warrior is me saving the game every 5 seconds after I kill something and then going back. And luckily it lets you do that. So that's like a plus, but I know Diablo 2 is not nearly as forgiving with that stuff.
I do know there's like a tactic where you funnel them in through a doorway, or you put your back to a corner
chokehold.
so they can only get you out from two sides instead of all around you.
Yeah, there's the chokehold tactic, and I use that quite a bit, actually.
I'm wondering
it makes it easier.
if the people who made the game figured that's what players would do. I have no idea if they thought that the player was going to do their stats correctly and trying to kill things, and if they didn't do their stats correctly, would just start a new game. Or if they, like, did they realize that we were going to have funneling tactics and kiting tactics in order to deal with these guys?
I don't think there's a few spots where I had to, but for the most part, it just made it easier. Like when I open a door and there's 20 fucking skeleton archers.
It's just natural. You stand there in the door because it funnels them one at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I can kill thousands of those motherfuckers if they're coming at me one at a time.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know. I kind of feel what you're getting at. It's just like, it's a lot of fun on the first few levels, and then you can't really do that all the time. Especially when you run into those lava levels when you got those dudes that spit at you.
Floor 10.
That was ridiculous. I had a wave of fucking yellow orbs coming at me, and it's like insane amounts. And it's not that they
yellowed out the sky.
Yeah, it's like fucking 300, but instead it's acid spit instead of fucking arrows blotting out the sun. But there was still a way around it. I mean, I did save incessantly because it's all you do is press escape, enter, and you save the game. So it's like,
but we do like the combat of clicking shit.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And I like the ability to mess with your character, for me to go like pure damage and be able to still play the game. Admittedly, I fucked myself up. I died a bunch on floor 10 because of that, because I didn't have enough health to really sustain the amount of damage coming at me. Like, you know, it's manageable if there's 4 or 5, but when there's 20 to 25 enemies launching their fucking piss at me in orb form, there's a problem. But I felt like it was pretty balanced and tough in a few spots, but it's normally like the first few times you encounter an enemy, you're like, oh Jesus, these are gonna suck, and then you're like, oh okay, they're not that bad.
Well, then there's the sucky bitches.
Yeah,
I call them. Yeah, the succubi, the succubus.
See, they didn't do as much damage to me because I knew that they did flame damage and kept my flame resistance maxed.
Well, I started doing that later on.
What is your flame resistance?
Basically, in your stats, you have certain resistances with your armor class that you upgrade using.
So it's not a stat you can increase. It's just what your armor is.
You got to get an armor that has.
An armor or a ring. I usually had rings.
You either got to find it or you got to buy it.
Okay, so if you go to a floor...
And it may or may not be available.
If you go to a floor with a certain type of enemy, you could then tailor your armor or your kit to then meet that, to have an easier time.
Yes, you can counter it.
What are the different resistances you can have?
Lightning, fire... Is that it?
I think it might have just been those two.
2 different resistances.
I think that's about all though, as far as the damage goes.
That's all that I came across. I think in later games there are more. I remember looking at some stat page somewhere. But
so how did you feel about the alien creatures where like you kill them and then their blood becomes acid? When you step on it, it damages you.
Oh, those were annoying.
I saw you walking into that shit a lot.
You know what?
I'm like, yeah, soak it up there.
It didn't do that much. That's one of those things that, like, they had shit that was tough to deal with in Diablo. And I'd say the sucky bitches were the thing that I could not handle very well.
That was the thing
game.
I couldn't handle the first playthrough. The final 4 for me had like 20 or 30 of those. I could not fucking do anything.
Yeah. They just attack so fast, and when you get hit by them, your character stops for a second. That's the worst thing. The poison, though, and the traps, and even like the wizard dudes, like their attacks are light.
Yeah, the wizard guys are annoying because they disappear and reappear. But I had the sword that had the least recoil on it because of those. Yeah, so I intentionally countered their bullshit.
I couldn't. There was no. there was one weapon that was anti-recoil.
So I entered a room.
Swords have recoil. Sorry, real quick. I just don't understand.
It's a stat. It's not recoil. It's like your character gets over it quicker.
Yeah, you like
so basically item weight. I know other games have it as item weight, where you can swing something where it's lighter. That's Fable, but what are the different stats a weapon can have and armor can have?
They can have like life steal. They can have fire damage. They
There's
can have
specialty things for each weapon.
Speed stats. So like a sword can attack really fast.
So there's recoil and
recovery.
Speed.
Recovery. That's what
hit
it is.
recovery.
Hit
that's
recovery.
What it's
so
called.
hit recovery and speed. So you can slash really fast, and if you can recover, especially so what
is hit recovery from your character getting hit?
Yeah.
Oh, so
no. So what it is?
hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if I'm doing my double-handed axe, this is why I had to switch from that to.
So your character will stop for a second when you get hit.
Yeah. This is why I had to switch from sword to.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if there's a million sucky bitches going, then you're like, and you can't fucking hit.
Right,
anything.
you get stunned basically, and that's the reason why I had to switch
got
from
mad
my
about
two-handed axe uber power mode to sword and shield, is because I kept getting recoil and I could never go through with my.
So a shield reduces recoil.
Yes, sword
See,
does.
I even had
help
shield,
that.
and I had problems with those.
So
bitches.
shield that reduces recoil and increases armor, and then sword
I did
that reduces
call them
recoil.
another
Yeah.
name once. I called the succub by another name.
Yeah, he dropped the C word. It was awesome. But anyway,
I do
time.
not say the C word, and it just kind of slipped out.
yeah.
The hate was real.
that he must have been really mad to do that.
Dude, I walked into a room.
I would like Kaleb to say what I said. I think he heard what I said, right?
Craig?
No, you.
Oh yeah, he said "suck you cunts," and I was like, "Whoa, you dropped it." He was ashamed. But anyway, I entered a room on like the 14th floor with 26 of those in there, and I killed every fucking one of them without using more than a bar of health potions. I was just like boss mode, just killing
Fuck
them
you, man.
one by one, like Jason. Man, I was fucking them up.
All right,
So that
so
recoil sounds like a really important stat. So those are all the real stats you can have with items.
as far as we know, I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah,
there's
the
still
life leech is
randomized
one,
stuff.
and yeah, there's just different stuff. And I used a few spells. I used Town Portal a few times, and I used the Firebolt actually. or
Yeah, so what are the
Fireball.
different spells that you guys came across?
There's a shitload of spells. I use Town Portal.
There's a cure. There's the repair spell that the warrior comes default with. There's a Town Portal. There's like a
Repair spell?
Yeah, your weapons and armor do degrade.
They degrade. That adds a huge element. Do they degrade faster if you're, in
If
battle?
you're getting hit, yes.
yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Also, you can repair
Yes,
them
they
yourself,
do.
but it will affect the overall durability of the items.
So you can't do a really good job repairing. Do you have to go to the blacksmith to get them
Yeah.
repaired? Okay. How
Griswold
often do you
is
find
better.
yourself doing it?
I repaired every time I went back to town, just
Okay.
because it was not that expensive, and Griswold doesn't fuck my items up like I do. So that was kind of a cool aspect to it. I mean, the repairing things.
Is there any other aspect that we haven't talked about?
Well, spells we were talking about. There's like lightning spells. There's fire spells. There's like a
Firewall.
spell. There's a ton of shit.
Phasing, where you just like teleport to an
Yeah,
area.
none of us really.
Cool.
We didn't get
But
really
you guys
into it
didn't really
because
get
we
into
both
it, 'cause
did.
that's a different
warrior.
aspect that you would play if you were the mage.
Yeah, we would have gotten into
And
that.
there's ranged
balls deep.
attacks too, like besides spells, which are ranged by definition. You also have like bows and arrows and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Which,
just.
infinite arrow, by the way.
Infinite
No matter
arrows.
what. It's
Oh,
infinite
nice.
arrows.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it'll run out of
I
durability.
think in Diablo 2 they have arrows, but I can't remember.
I think so.
Is that-
2 or 3. I think.
I don't remember.
I think in Diablo
Do they
2,
have them in 3?
I know that I never used a bow in 3, but I know that you have a
motherfucker.
bow and a quivers, but I don't think there's
and
arrows.
a quivers.
Yeah, I think it's just infinite
It's just
arrows.
a bow and a quivers. Okay.
Yeah, bow and a quivers. Yeah, you have
He's
many
quivering
many
with
quivers.
joy.
You shoot the quivers.
Oh wow, that sounds
Like
brutal.
the-
It's like a shotgun almost. Just,
yeah, it's like practically claymores, just popping arrows everywhere.
All right.
So I remember when I played Diablo, I think there was like a grid system for your backpack to hold items. How did you guys feel about that?
I thought it was cool, but I mean, it was kind of annoying having to arrange stuff. Like, I'd pick up an item and he'd be like, "Too much baggage."
Always having to play Tetris.
Yeah, and I'd be like,
I
"Well,
think that's cool because you can make things fit in real life if you kind of move some stuff around.
You kind of want it to be an automated thing. Like, I understand having a certain amount of stuff in your inventory, but why can't it just
put it in the spot,
move shit
find
around?
the hole, kind of a thing."
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. It'd be a lot easier if it just found the hole by itself, but no, I mean, it really would. And I don't know, it is, I don't know, I don't mind the inventory system itself, but I do mind.
I wasn't bugged by it, but it is just one of those things where I'm like, well, I wish they would.
Yeah. But it's like, whatever.
And Diablo 2 has the same thing, if I remember
really?
correctly, but it also has a chest for you to put your stuff in. In Diablo 1, the fantastic thing about Diablo 1 is if you got too much stuff, you can just lay the stuff down there and it will be there
Yeah, you can lay it around
for
town.
you to
Like,
come
Joe was
pick it up again.
litter bug of the year is what I called him, because he had like all sorts of shit all over the ground, like books, scrolls, just trash. The village looked like hell.
true, man. I would get into spots where like I would start dropping stuff,
And you
then
couldn't drop stuff
I didn't
anymore.
have any room to drop stuff, so I'd have to move my character. To
I could just see some hobo like walking by picking it up, or some cleaning dude stabbing it with a little pitch thing, and he stabs like the phasing spell, and he's like all of a sudden on the roof.
I tell you about my hobo and I was once cleaning out my car at like a Chevron a few blocks that way.
Okay.
And I was vacuuming out my car, and I had taken my stuff and just put it on the the little concrete surface that they have next to the vacuums.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I was just vacuuming my car, and I looked over in the corner, and some hobo was looking at my stuff, grabbed a pen, just a pen, and then turned around and walked away.
You didn't say
And, like,
anything? I would have been like, hey.
Well, I would have said something if he had like grabbed my CDs or something like that, but he just grabbed my pen, and like the way that he handled my pen, it was like, just grabbing it by the tip and doing this little question move, like shrug your shoulders and put your hands out. I don't like, it's like, like, oh,
come in.
Well, like he grabbed the pen and was like pretending that he didn't steal the pen. Like, what is this pen? I don't know. And then he just walks off.
Do you think he was sneaking up to make a grab for larger items when he saw you turn
But
around?
he saw me turn around
And
and
he's
see
like-
him. I think possibly.
Yeah, well,
But that was just a weird situation for
This
me
is
because I was
mine
like,
now.
and he said, let there be a pen.
he just fucking took
and
my
there
pen.
was a pen.
So yeah, no hobos luckily in Tristram.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that'd be awesome. If,
They've all went into
No one
the
taking my
cathedral.
fucking pens.
voluntary soldiers for the cathedral hunt.
I need that pen.
They just bums the hobos now. Go see if you can kill Diablo. Go.
Yeah. Treasures down there, I swear to God. There are lots of treasures. And I never wanted for gold in this game at all, so that was kind of interesting. I like that, though. I like not being fucking,
Super
poor.
poor.
Yeah.
Nah.
In poverty.
My first playthrough, I put stats in the wrong spots, and
Yeah, and suddenly you didn't have money? That doesn't make any sense. Or you just needed stronger stuff, so you bought
I
it?
needed. I did a lot of things wrong.
All right, well, I mean, how would
So
you...
doing the second playthrough was kind of nice. Otherwise, we got a few boss fights. There was the Butcher,
Yes.
who was
I would say is pretty iconic of the series.
he was difficult if you only decided to fight him on the second floor. But you told me, hey, wait until you're on the fourth floor. Or at least
Yeah.
that's what you did before you went back up to the Butcher.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you are leveled up enough to take on the Butcher easily.
Yeah, I trashed him.
But then there's the fear that's gone.
I don't know, the fear's still there, because I'm like, was that enough? Because he's still hitting me for a lot. But no, it's plenty.
That was fine, though. Skeleton
you-
King.
If you fight him first off, you're going to be losing like tons of potions. Like you're barely going to be able to hit him because he's
So on a
fast with that fucking cleaver.
On a financial basis, it's not a good idea to hit him right off.
No, I don't think so.
So is the do you know if the Butcher is in Diablo 2?
I don't think so.
Remember?
Because the Butcher is a main boss in Diablo 3.
Well, Diablo 3 is probably
Yeah.
a callback to Diablo 1. I don't think
I think it's still like.
I don't know if
canonical.
yeah, it might be, but a lot of the stuff in Diablo 1 doesn't really matter for the series as far as story goes.
Yeah,
from what
well,
I've
there
heard.
isn't that much, so.
No, that's true. So I guess that's probably why it doesn't matter, is because it's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, you were saying Skeleton King,
Skeleton King's another boss who also has his little own
King
dungeon.
Leoric, yeah,
Yeah. So you
the
go.
Skeleton King's tomb. Is that
Go
what
in
it's
the, yeah.
And the Skeleton King, it was the king,
Yeah, it
whose
was-
son is now Diablo.
called? Right, it's King Leoric. He's not Diablo yet, but
So
yeah.
anyway, when you go down there are a shitload of skeletons, and he kind of makes them spawn too. You remember that?
Yeah, he'll spawn him out of midair. He's
Yeah.
a boss like that.
He's pretty cool. And so like I remember the first time it was really difficult because of all the arrow dudes. Second time around, I spent a little bit more time on my armor, so it wasn't as big of a deal. But I led him through, and the Skeleton King's a really cool just section of the game.
I just have just a quick question as to the story of the Skeleton King. So he was the king, but then he dies. How does he die?
He dies because he Diablo is trying to possess him.
Okay, so Diablo is trying to possess him through the shard, but it kills him in the end. And that's why he is reincarnated as the Skeleton King. Is that how it goes?
Well, okay, so in Diablo 3, Leoric is a boss, And it kind of does go into like how he dies, and his own men turn against him and kill him because
I think that's right.
Because
Yeah,
he goes fucking insane.
Oh, okay.
that's what it was.
So he
yes.
goes insane and becomes the Skeleton King.
Yeah.
But how long has he been dead by the time you get there?
Not very long, I don't think.
Okay, so that makes sense to have his kid still be a kid when he reverts back.
Yeah, no, it's all very quickly. Everything happens pretty fast.
So he pretty much, his bones got bleached pretty fast, and all the flesh just sloughed off of him.
Yeah, they melted.
Didn't have time
the
to
fuck out of
decay.
him. No time to decay
Boiled his
here.
bones.
That's right. But I thought that was a pretty solid fight too, and he was kind of a pain in the ass. He's a tough bastard, but the crowd he get off of him.
Yeah,
is
he's
legit.
he's one of the tougher guys down there. Wait, was that was King Leoric? So the other guy's the Archbishop
Lazarus. Yeah, he's the guy who Diablo was able to take over, possessed to carry out his bidding to bring the child to then become Diablo.
They picked a kid because he's more malleable to turn into Diablo, whereas it didn't quite work on the king.
Well, the king was trying to be taken over, but he was too. His constitution was too strong, and Diablo failed. So he was able to take over the Archbishop because he's simpler, he's religious, yada yada, whatever you want. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Jesus. But no, that's
you better apologize to Jesus.
That's the obvious. That's why he did it. It's because he was just easier to control. And then Lazarus kidnapped the son, and then they used his body to be Diablo.
Okay.
Because he'd be even easier, but he wanted to. He just needed someone to bring the kid to him.
All right. So sorry about that. I just wanted to have a little bit of clarification on that.
No, you're good.
Obviously, we're not experts on the Diablo lore. Even though, I got the little write-up right in front of me, though. So Lazarus is the second to last boss. He's what you got to fight in order to get into hell.
Yeah.
Lazarus is, he's a little more difficult than I think anything else in the game was. Not necessarily him specifically, although he was kind of a pain in the ass. You go into a little place after you get a
secret place.
A little place.
Yeah, a little secret place. And no one gets your reference. Kaleb, not a single person.
I'm sure if Dr. Roxo listens to this show, he got my reference.
There's a secret place.
Exactly.
That he likes to go, and you got to follow him.
Right.
It's a staff, right?
Yeah, it's his
staff.
It's his staff.
In order to get into this little dungeon thing, which has a shitload of succubitches, and there's all these little teleports, and you got to teleport to the right ones, and then once you kill all the succubitches, you can is it teleporting, or you pull a trigger or something like that. And then suddenly you start the fight with Lazarus.
Well, you get that awesome cutscene before where it's like him above the kid kind of a thing, and it's all fucking evil.
Yeah,
and
that is
epic.
pretty cool. And then you got to fight Lazarus, and it's not that so much that he was a pain, but I remember the first few times of me trying to fight Lazarus, just the amount of succubus that spawn around him was just sick. It was so fucking tough to deal with. And I got around it on, I don't know what try it was. There's a few in.
10 or so.
I ran, and the succubus followed, and Lazarus did not. Lazarus just kind of stays in his room, and the succubus followed. And I got all the way around, and all the succubus had followed me, and I stepped on a teleported back to Lazarus, who was alone now. And so I killed Lazarus, and then once I killed Lazarus, I saved my game, and then went and took on the succubus one by one. So that was a spectacular roundabout way of me beating Lazarus.
Okay.
But apparently you had no problem with Lazarus.
No, not really. I just I killed everything around him, and then I killed him.
Okay.
That dungeon, though, there was a lot of me maneuvering, just because I was taking a lot of damage from those chicks. And so I would open up a little gateway, and then I'd kind of funnel them. I'd kite them in one at a time and just take them down. Because what they'll do is they will turn a corner, and then they'll start shooting at you if you're far enough away. So what'll happen if you're really close to them, though, they turn the corner, and then they start to turn around. But if you're able to get a hit in, you can like stun them. You can knock them back and make them recoil for a second, and you can just tear them apart if you're fast enough. And that's normally what I would do. But yeah, for him, I just killed everything in there.
And so the 16th floor is actually hell. And hell consists of 4 different rooms, I guess.
Yeah, 4 big rooms, and
You got to clear the whole place, and then you got to do a switch, and then the switch opens up one of the 4 like little sections, and you got to clear those each and do a switch. And then your last switch is Diablo.
Yeah.
And Diablo is this awesome giant red. He looks like what Diablo would look like in your mind at home, listeners. Like,
think South Park.
But once again, he is surrounded by all the knight dudes and the wizard dudes, which are also ranged pieces of shit. And so the first time I went up to fight, I only tried twice on Diablo, I think, maybe 3 times. But it wasn't Diablo that was killing me; it was all the guys around him. So I had a similar tactic where, there was one, I realized there was going to be a shitload of guys there. And so I just walked barely enough that like a group of those guys came and followed me without Diablo following me. And I killed those guys off, saved the game, and then went back to Diablo. And then I didn't actually want Diablo to follow me that time, but he did. And it only turned out to be Diablo and like one other knight dude. And so I killed off the knight dude, and then it was just me and Diablo, and I was wailing on him, and he died. And what was disappointing at that point was that it went directly into cutscene after Diablo died.
Well,
I couldn't clear out the other like 20 dudes that I didn't touch.
You could have loaded your game though.
But Diablo would have still been there.
No, I know, but it's not like he's hard.
Actually, if you're not attacking Diablo, he's doing these fire moves from the ground.
I killed everything.
Those do a shitload of damage.
I killed everything around him, so I know all about the fire moves from the ground.
Okay, all right.
It was sick.
So you decided to kill
"Holy
everyone
shit."
else and then do Diablo.
Yeah.
So how fast are you going through potions doing that shit?
I went through probably like 5 or 6 during that final stage. I killed everything around him, and then I just got all up close and took him out.
The most forgiving thing about this game is that they do have a potion hotbar.
Yeah, 1 through 9 on your keypad.
That's with your keypad.
Or my mouse, I actually found out on accident.
You have a special gaming mouse.
I do, yeah.
And you can just consume the potion without having to go into an inventory or anything like that.
Yeah, which is epic.
Because when it's, when shit's going down, you don't have time to open up that very slow inventory screen.
Right.
So thank goodness for those hotkeys. But, I think that's pretty much the gameplay. It's a really simple, really fast paced, exploratory, dungeon crawler game.
Yeah, I thought the animation at the end of Diablo's death was awesome too. Just blood just spraying out of him, just like epic.
So
was Diablo and his minions, were they getting prepared to like come out of the cathedral and raid the world?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. Diablo's going to take over the world again. He's coming into the mortal realm.
Again, take it over again. Is that?
Yeah, the Haradrim are kind of their mission is, well, I don't know if it's again, but their mission is to keep him from coming out. So it's kind of assumed that he has at one point.
Schweiss, what would you give the gameplay?
I'm going to give the gameplay a 9 in Diablo. There's very little that I disliked about it. I mean, there's a lot of, there's some simplicity to it. I mean, one other thing we forgot to mention is the stat, boosts. I thought it was really awesome that you could see exactly what your stats would be changed by.
Yeah.
With things, and that gave you a chance to deliberate on which items were better, what you want to sacrifice for what.
One thing the reason why I'm going to give the gameplay an 8 out of 10, and this is shit that would have kind of almost killed me a few times, is the cursor and whether or not there's a creature there around it. It wasn't very well lined up, where you think you were clicking one place and your character hadn't turned, and so your character's just kind of hitting a square that you're not at, and you have to adjust.
Like when you press shift and then attack, it's like, it seems like it should be going straight, but it's going like to the right a little.
Yeah, it seems like where it should be clicking is where it should be, but it's not. So there's a little something off there, and it was really clunky, and I did not care for that. Quite a few times that bugged me.
All right.
So design.
All right. I mean, the game has a pretty dark design overall. I mean, it's an evil game. Obviously, you're fighting the minions of hell and the devil himself, essentially. And I don't know. I feel like it was all very fitting. I feel like the characters were just brooding enough. I mean, there's of course a couple cheery characters as well, and then there's the asshole peg leg kid. Who lost
the worst
his leg.
of all.
Yeah, the most the asshole of the group. I think he dies, actually. I think he gets killed in the beginning of Diablo 2.
I don't remember that, but
I think the whole village dies except for like a couple people.
Okay.
And thank God for that. But I don't know. I felt like the design was
Thank God they all died.
yeah, fuck those guys. I thought the design was pretty solid and it looked really good for a game from 1996. I'm pretty impressed with what they've done.
I agree. It's like a horror dungeon crawler thing, and it's got a like of course it's got satanic themes because it's Satan, and it's kind of this, I don't know, like the cathedral, and
it's evil as fuck. There's dead bodies everywhere.
It's like a new sort of design look every
Like the
4
butcher's
floors.
room. The butcher's room is just
yeah, it's pure bodies.
And I'd say it's very effective. The creature design as well, also very cool and effective. So I'm going to go ahead and say design A+. It's a 10 out of 10 for me on design.
All right, I would stand by that. I think it deserves a 10. There's not a single problem with it. There's nothing that bugs me. I mean, there are a lot of repeat designs for the enemies, but there's also a lot of enemies that we don't even experience.
They're different.
No, they are. There's some enemies that I didn't fight against this playthrough. Like there's enemies that don't appear every time, and I think that adds a lot
really
to the replayability, which we'll get to.
So maybe your next playthrough there will be no succubuses.
No, I think there's always going to be those.
Sucky bitches.
Yeah.
All right, so sound and music. I think that the music is perfect for the game. It's got this kind of like haunting guitar sound with all these other little
yeah, these creepy noises.
creepy noises, sometimes like people crying or screaming.
Yeah, or no, it sounded like laughing sometimes, like people laughing in the one levels, and I was joking about like a Wise Guys comedy club being next door. I'm like, you guys couldn't have picked a better place for the fucking cathedral, really?
So compared to other games at the time, the sound though must have been kind of immersive compared to other games.
Well, it's very interactive, so whenever you like the sound is actually part of the thing that, I mean, besides just the music, just like when you hit shit, the sound is it feels good. Like
yeah.
It feels right.
A nice crunch when the bones fall apart.
Yeah.
And splatter when the guys die.
I think
like,
a lot of the fun parts of Diablo has to do with the sound design. I do have one little qualm though. The fucking footprint sound on the warrior is loud as fuck and annoying.
Footprint sound or footfall sound.
I love the double bass a few times when you'd like go into town. It would be like. I thought that was funny when I was playing it too. He's like.
But otherwise, like the score is amazing, and of course the battle sounds and like the voice acting, although slow as fuck. When you're trying to get through something, I think the voice acting is actually really good, especially for a game from 1996. You see other like clips from other computer games back then, and it's just like Blizzard really steps it up as far as voice is concerned.
All right, what are you gonna give it then? What are you gonna go with?
Because the footsteps were annoying enough, I'm gonna go ahead and give the sound and the music 8 out of 10.
All right, I think I'm going to go 9. I wasn't really bothered by the footprint thing.
He loved the double bass.
I loved the double bass. Yeah, I'm all about the double bass. No treble, of course.
All about the double bass. No treble.
Yeah,
I'm all about that.
but yeah, I mean, it did create an aura of discomfort, almost like
it's the atmosphere added to the overall, just the anxiety
design
that you feel of the atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
the design, the music, the darkness, the fact that you can't see that far ahead of you in the
claustrophobic.
game.
There's something out there.
It all works.
The just offsetting music,
and then the awesome like metal riff that you get into later down. It's like, like fuck yeah,
but it all works. Nothing's out of place, with the exception of footprints.
Yeah, and
footfall.
I don't know. The
footprints.
Tristram soundtrack is like iconic to me now. Just the little town sounds. Yeah, it's so fitting. It works really well for me.
Okay, replay value.
All right, so as we've said before, this game, you can do a New Game Plus. Of course, you won't get experience for a long time, but you will eventually. You can level up to level 50. That is the max level. So I know you can get more experience. And the fact that the quests change, the fact that enemies can be different, the floor layout's always
multiplayer
different.
versions for the game.
Multiplayer, there's different characters you can play multiple times just to toy around with their stats.
Yeah. Quests only being available sometimes.
Yeah, I think that element of it is, it's excellent as far as the replay value goes, even if you just consider the quests.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to go ahead and put replay value at a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I was thinking this.
I wouldn't mind replaying the game, and that's a rare thing for me to say.
yeah.
I minded replaying the game once I had done that shit, but like as soon as I was like 2 levels in, I'm like, I'm playing the game and I'm still having fun.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth it, and the variety of it all really sinks in the replay value. I think I'm gonna go 10 as well.
I'm gonna go 10 as well.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So we're basically, from the look of it, this game's gonna be better than Fallout 4. According to us.
All
anyway.
right, so
we got
that's
10, 20, 37,
18,
57.
86. Do you want to just do this?
89.
89?
Yep,
For you?
for the total.
For you? Really? 89?
No, 89 for both of us. Mine's 45.
You're 45 out of 50?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yours is 16, 26, 36, 44.
44. So it wouldn't be 89.
Yeah, it is 89. Look at it.
Oh,
you
wait.
fuck.
Yes, it is 89.
It's not 89, it's 99.
Okay, so our Nude Clan, Nud Clan is what I spelled on this paper. Our Nude Clan official score
The paper is no longer going to be for Joe. Nud Clan. Nud Clan good.
for Diablo 1 from 1996 is 89 out of 100.
The greatest game
man.
of all time, according to Nud Clan.
Right. So I know that we haven't had the what makes a classic conversation quite yet. But since
been 20
this
years.
game has come out in 1996 and is now 2016,
It's technically not 20 years old yet, though.
Joe, well,
We still
once
need
it
about
once it goes
9
to
to
the
10
new
months.
year or whatever. Anyway, so according to Joe, it's about 20 years for something to become a classic. Do you think
That it will be a classic by the end of the year?
This is a classic.
I think so, yeah. I
Yes.
think the fact that most of us have played it in our lives, most people know what Diablo is. I mean, it's not the best-selling series ever, not even close, but I think it's iconic. I think it's got a lot of iconic imagery, obviously the theme of the game,
Well,
the devil.
it's a first. It created a different type of game.
There's that as well, and I don't know. I just think a lot of people know what it's about. The logo, they've seen it; it's recognizable. Blizzard is famous for it, famous for taking forever to come out with it.
It's a solid game, also. Like, it's... Yeah.
It's really good.
I highly recommend Diablo 1.
So 2001. I mean, 2.5 million copies sold. It's awesome.
It's pretty decent for a
Yeah,
So
PC
I'm pretty
game.
sure a
that's
lot of
good.
people. That's an iconic game. So
I would say, yeah. I mean, we'll have to see how we feel Diablo 2 stacks up to Diablo 1. I mean, Joe's the only one that's really played it extensively. I only played like 20 minutes or so. I did not play very much of it. Not that I didn't like it. I was just like, okay, this is cool, but I want to beat 1 first.
are we all just going to keep playing games here?
It's the same game.
I want to stop that.
We're all playing RPGs, and it's
You're
all
playing
part of the series.
Ico. Ico is
It's an adventure.
sort of related to another game,
Yeah, Shadow
but it's
of the
not.
Colossus.
It's not like a.
Wait, you're tired of what? What did you say?
It's not Ico and
I
Ico 2.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't want to only be doing series of games.
Well, you can do whatever you want.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Joe and I are doing the series. You guys aren't
Yeah.
playing too with Joe.
Oh, I know.
Oh well, they can if they want.
Well, you can. We can play the games that each other are playing, but I say we stick this rule in here right now so Joe doesn't fucking overstep and play Diablo 2 with whoever he's playing a game with next.
I don't see what the problem with that.
If we start a series with somebody, we have to either play it with just that person or agree to play it with others.
Well, I think at that what we're trying to steer away from is we need to hit other types of games.
No, I agree.
And not just focus on like one.
I know that's what I think is hilarious that we spend a year year and almost 2 years playing Final Fantasy, and then the first games were like, yeah, let's do some more RPG. More RPG, yes!
And do the whole series of it. Yeah, you guys are just kind of like...
Ultima Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah. This is all we know.
Diablo.
This is all we know, Caleb.
just
All we know in the
RPGs.
fucking world is
I have
RPG.
no idea, considering just that one review with Diablo. I have no idea. There's a podcast out there called the Diablo Podcast.
Oh, really?
I have no idea how they fill time.
Did they,
Well,
I know that the other ones are bigger, but there's still only
I
two
think
other
there's
games.
I think there's like an online series for Diablo 3.
Okay.
So like there's like competitive play for
Oh, and
Diablo
there's
3.
Diablo 3 has a lot of different things you can do
Yeah.
with it. So
I think
it's,
that
like, massive.
might be how they're still alive. is
Okay.
Diablo 3.
All right. Well, I think it's time to get fat.
All right, I think so too.
Let's get
man.
fat. Okay, so how is everybody doing with their New Year's resolutions? Let's start with you, Cameron.
Don't ever do that face to me ever again.
Sploosh.
The listeners have no idea what you're talking about.
Watch Archer. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really good show.
Oh, speaking of Archer, we're going to have an Archer podcast and
No, just kidding.
Fucking no!
everything podcast. I was thinking about doing that like
We
every
can't
day
have
live.
any interests anymore because we have to podcast it all.
Don't talk to me. Yeah, don't talk to me. Listen to my life podcast. Caleb Schweiss podcast. All right, anyway, how you been doing on the goals you said?
Okay, so New Year's resolutions. So I have 3 of them. I'm thinking of, I know it's no longer New Year's, but I'm thinking of adding another for books. Because I am
said
reading
you were
books.
going to read more. That was one of your resolutions.
I don't know if it wasn't technically mine, but I think I might want to do it because I'm actually doing a pretty good job. So might as well make it a goal if I'm doing it.
I don't know if that's how goals work.
Make goals that you're already
make a
making.
goal to do that
okay.
afterward.
I want
So
to
I
sit
might do
around
that.
a lot.
I might do that with books because I've already month
What
of
is the
January
goal?
2. I've already read 2 books January.
Okay.
But my 3 goals are: 1 was keep better track of my finances, which I have been doing.
Okay.
I keep track of mine too. I just let it flush away at a quick rate. I'm just trying to support the local economy by blowing all my money. Living paycheck to paycheck.
Speaking of blowing, that's how he gets the money.
Oh,
Yeah. Look, man, don't talk about our part-time gigs on the show.
Other one is working out, which I've done absolutely nothing since the new year. I haven't worked out, but I have lost weight doing my diet. I have lost 3 pounds, and I weigh myself a couple times a day just to make sure. So it's not the daily fluctuation. I've actually gone down 3 pounds.
So you just had like an extra big shit one day?
No, this is I keep track of it. So
How
3
big are
pounds.
your shits, Caleb? Jesus.
No, I've just heard you say that, you lost like 10 pounds one time because you had a shit baby, but
Well, I have, but
Sometimes though, I can feel it making the turns, and I know it's going to be big.
yeah.
Whew, that's a tight corner right there.
It's gonna be
And then
big.
about 10 minutes later, I feel it just opening up my bowels, and I know it's ready.
That's wonderful imagery there.
Christ.
We're really breaking
baking a loaf.
we're really breaking the dimension of podcast. It's now visual as opposed to pure audio.
we do have that warning at the beginning of every podcast. Oh,
Yeah,
disgusting.
true.
And then what was my other goal?
It was chill.
Do good in school, obviously, but
School. That's a
Musical
everyone's goal.
instrument.
I don't think that was the goal.
It was. I've listened to the first episode.
Okay,
about
then that
3
was the goal.
times.
Then I haven't done it. Yeah, I haven't done anything towards that. I have my guitar sitting there, staring at me, making me feel guilty.
just learn how to play the Diablo.
I was saying you and Schweiss should have as your game Rocksmith. Do the 90-day Rocksmith.
the
challenge.
90-day Rocksmith challenge.
Or wait, is it the 90-day or is it the 30-day? What's this?
I think it's 90, but we can look it up. Don't quote us on
That's
it.
gonna be ridiculous.
you can make
dude.
it the 30-day.
We can do. I say we do
challenge.
that. How about we do that over the summer when we don't have class?
I still might have class over the summer, depending on what I want to do.
What the fuck, man?
He's a puss.
Who's a puss? Me?
No, he's talking
Cameron.
about camping.
Oh, well,
Cameron's a
we're
puss.
kind of pussy for not going over the summer because that's the
How
best
is
time to
that
go.
being a puss? Because it's like your class is all condensed down and
Cameron, I've
faster
taken
track.
summer classes before.
Yeah.
Still a puss.
And I work full time with a real
And
job.
I worked full time in the summer.
With a real job?
Not with a real. What the fuck is the difference in time usage with the real job thing?
Oh, because my
It's
hours
not like
are
I
the
was
same
doing
hours every
homework
day.
at work.
Anyways, we'll discuss when we have the time to do it. But I think
All right.
I would like to do that. I do own Rocksmith on the computer. I think I'd be willing to do it. I don't know if I want it to be our next game, but I do want it to be a game that we play. And I
All
guess
right,
Joyce and I playing together.
That
would be awesome.
will kickstart you with the music thing. I'm telling you, as someone who does play the guitar quite well, not the greatest.
I
in the
was
world,
doing the classes on Rocksmith before.
quite well. It does improve my playing quite a bit if I'm playing Rocksmith.
At least we'd be able to memorize a few songs. I don't know if it improves our ability to read music.
No, and nothing is, and that's not an important thing.
You
But
can learn.
we can
For
memorize
guitar-
guitar riffs.
For guitar, unless you're a jazz guitarist, you have no reason to learn music.
You know, even if it's not hard to learn the notes, like what they mean on sheet paper. That's easy.
Well,
You just associate it with your...
it takes some time to read it quickly and play at the same speed that you're reading.
well,
and
Jesus,
it's something
if you're
that
playing
I
like
haven't.
Megadeth, you got to be like fucking speed reading.
Yeah, well, I know that, Cameron. I know that you want to play rock guitar, right?
I do. I really want to play rock guitar, but I also want to play some blues jazz type riffs. But I also want to play funk. I love funk. I don't know why. And grunge.
With the exception of jazz,
I'll be your singer for your grunge
with the
band.
exception of jazz,
No, that's-
tablature and chord charts are your friend.
I know. Okay. I know. I can do tab. I
Tabs
can
is
read.
good, yeah. Well, you better be able to read it. It's the fucking lines, the
I
strings.
did take a guitar class once,
Yeah.
and I took that with Kaleb. Actually, we took a guitar class together.
Well,
I still
actually-
remember the E song.
Cameron, I got a book somewhere that's like the Berkeley method for guitar, and it's all note, like it's all classical notation.
And if you learn that, you'll be able to learn the other stuff too, just fine. So that way you would know
You
the
can
guitar.
then develop your musical prowess.
If
Yeah.
you really want to go on that route, get a teacher.
But see, I also
You're not
want
going to be able to do
drums.
that on your own.
I really want to learn drums, and I'm.
I think all of us, except for Caleb, want to. I just can't have him in my house anymore because of my neighbor.
Your neighbor's gone.
I don't know if they're gone yet.
Away.
Are they gone?
Yeah, I think you have new neighbors.
Well, maybe all right. We just need to get the drum and bang on it a lot and see if they come over. Because if they don't come over, they're new neighbors. And they're
Or
cowards.
these new neighbors are even worse than your old neighbors, and just call cops.
Oh, what's the cop gonna do?
They
Take
tell
the
you to be
drum set
quiet.
away?
I'll be like, I don't have drums.
That's just right behind you.
Yeah, don't fucking worry about that. You don't have a warrant to look into my house.
No. If you're loud after a certain time, then they're allowed to call people. But we're never loud.
If you're loud
I
at
think
all,
it's after 10 or something.
no, it's if you're loud beyond reasonable loudness, which is not very descriptive, but you can be at any time if it's super loud.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're right,
I think we're probably in the realm of super loud with the drums, unless we get the mufflers, which I didn't want to do because then I would, I don't know, it was just not okay. All right, so that's your goals.
Okay.
Doing all right. What about you, Craigie boy?
I've been doing all right.
Craigers.
I'm behind a little bit on the movies by 2, and
So are we. We should just watch 2 movies.
we should do that.
Actually, I'm behind by...
Well, are you counting 2 not counting today or 2 counting today?
Not counting today.
So you're behind 3.
Yeah, so we're all
Since
behind
today
3.
is,
Yeah.
Okay. The only ones that I remember watching right now since last time are A Cat in Paris. And if everybody remembers, I watched A Monster in Paris last time.
Oh, okay. Is this the sequel?
No, it's
Prequel.
not. It's nothing. It's not even related. It's just
Okay.
also in Paris.
Cat in Paris. I think I've actually heard of that. What is that?
It's an animated film about...
Well, no shit.
I didn't only watch animated films. I watched Revenant with you guys.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Anyway, so it's an animated film about...
Was that this week?
This cat.
Revenant?
No, that was
last time.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You did only watch animated films this time then.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that I
for
haven't
his
only done it.
366.
No,
Yeah.
you've only seen animated films your whole life. Let's be honest here. Don't fuck with me. You can't lie to me, Caleb.
Then a lot of the
sorry.
movies I've seen have been grossly, misplaced. Anyway, or misgenred.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway,
Don't hurt
whatever.
yourself.
I don't know what the word for that would be.
Misappropriated.
Yes, whatever.
you
Okay.
go.
Anyway, so
You can pretend that's the right word.
it's about it's not a very long film. I think it was about like an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. Anyway, it was about this cat that just kind of wanders around with this thief guy, and they like break into houses, steal stuff, and he's got like a secret room in his house where he puts all that stuff, and then he does this at night, and then the cat during the daytime goes back to his owner, who is a little girl who doesn't speak because her father died when she was really young, so she doesn't really talk much. And her mother is a police officer, and she's kind of basically being raised by like this nanny, and it's just an interesting movie.
Just all those things together.
Pretty stylized.
What else did you watch?
And then the other thing that I remember is I rewatched Atlantis.
Oh, nice. That's a funny one.
I remember the hate that Joe has for that movie.
This is the animated Atlantis that came out a long time ago.
Yes.
A long time? Not
2001 is when
That's
it
a
came
long
out.
time for me.
That's 15 years ago.
It doesn't feel like 15. Okay.
But anyway, so I watched that mostly because of the hate.
Did
that
you hate
Joe-
it as much as I did?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay, the reason for that is because the entire time I was watching it, not just because I had seen it before, but like the entire plot was completely predictable. And then the style and everything about it just did not.
Didn't like the style. It looks like a DreamWorks movie, doesn't it?
It kind of, it looks
does.
exactly like a DreamWorks film and did not even remind me at all of Disney.
Yeah.
And it just didn't really seem to be as high a quality of film as other Disney movies.
It's a low point on Disney animation. That Treasure Planet, and then Dying, of course, with the fucking cattle movie. What is that? Home on the Range.
Yeah.
Home on the Range
That
is
one-
the worst thing Disney's ever put out. So it's
Cars
just
is
kind of
pretty
it's
bad.
just kind of with that. And when I was
that's Pixar.
when I was a kid, I really wanted to see that movie, and I was really disappointed by it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I hate the movie.
There is
What
a
did you-
sequel, which I will have to watch.
Fuck up. All right, what about you, Caleb? Or not Caleb, Joe.
What about me?
What did you keep up on your goals? I think that was it for your goals, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much the one.
You're done, Caleb.
Yeah.
Well,
you-
I have like book rating, but I'm pretty much just doing one book a month.
oh, okay.
See,
already
my
done.
book reading has, just like last week, it's slowed down quite a bit.
I just don't have time, dude.
Yeah,
I wish I did.
Just the listening to it.
Keyboarding wise, I really didn't do that much typing this week. And that's been hard to kind of keep up on, but I've been trying to. When I remember to keyboard correctly, I do.
You're painstakingly slow paced.
Yeah, my painstakingly slow.
How did they even
pace.
come about in this day and age? How did you do the two? Do you do the finger thing normally?
I did 3 fingers on each hand.
So the T-Rex claw
T-Rex plus thumb.
plus the thumb.
Yeah, thumb for space bar, you
Yeah,
fuck.
Yeah.
So you're doing the how did that even happen in this day and age? Because I remember as a kid,
We talked
had
about this
typing
the first time
classes.
through, didn't we?
Yeah, but
I
I'm
think we
still
did,
just
yeah.
astounded by this because how did they even like? Have I done
Because
that?
I had my typing teacher was really mean to me. That's how I felt.
so here
Okay, shut the fuck up for a second. You didn't let me fucking finish. Now, I do blame people all the time. Whenever someone says the teacher hates me, I'm like, no, you're just not, you just blame your problems on other people. When I was a kid, though, I really felt, although it's probably not true, I really felt like the teacher had something out for me. And I had real problems, like just paying attention to the fingering thing. And I didn't have I didn't have a computer at home, Cameron, when I was growing
I didn't
up.
either.
And so that was
I didn't have a computer until I was like in a junior in high school.
Well, Either way, I chose.
But I remember
I chose
elementary
not
school.
to.
I just remember in elementary school it was a required class.
Yes,
and they
it
would
is.
test you on it,
And
and
in
then they
middle
had
school.
those little keyboard cover things, so you can even look at your hands when you're typing. They forced
I
to
didn't
learn
have those.
without.
I didn't have those either.
They forced us to learn without even looking at our hands.
They gave me that, yeah.
And then I learned how to type correctly. I wasn't fast, but I learned how to type correctly. The speed came as I was using the computer all the time. It was just I learned the proper form.
I would do it and I would cheat.
Yeah, I think I was up to like 40 when I was in middle school.
Yeah, I just was a really bad student, Cameron.
Yeah,
You don't understand how bad of a student I was. Like I
thought the teacher hated you though.
That's another symptom of me being a bad student.
Oh, so the teacher didn't
teacher's
hate
fault you're a
you.
bad student.
The teacher probably didn't hate me.
Or if he did, it was because you were a bad student.
In retrospect, the teacher probably didn't hate me. Okay?
My typing teacher didn't really do a good job. He just kind of sat in the back while we played those little stupid typing games.
I came out of it okay.
You did the same thing?
Yeah, I was in the same class as you. You got me in trouble for
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's right.
You fuck.
Our teacher fucking threw a chair at a kid. You remember that?
That's motivational. Okay, get your speed up, or I'm gonna go WWE on your fucking ass.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a freak.
Would you like to see that teacher now and see what his life has become?
Not really.
Okay.
They don't
'cause-
care.
He's probably in a ditch.
Okay, imagine a little kid bugging you. Would you ever throw a chair at him?
You can't.
Probably not. I mean, we're not little kids. I mean, we're middle school, but little kid maybe.
It's
middle
still
school,
like
probably
it
not.
feels icky. It feels wrong. Like if you saw an adult doing that, you'd be like, arrest that man.
I remember my one of my middle school, my 6th grade math teacher.
I was
His
an
name was
idiot
Mr.
kid.
Wilson.
Right.
If you were not paying attention or you fell asleep or whatever, he had this little plastic bat, that little toy, big red bat, right? You guys remember those as a kid?
Yeah.
And he just had it behind his desk, and he would, if you're not paying attention, he would just slam your desk as hard as he could with it, and just like freaks you out.
That's pretty awesome. That's not the same thing.
But it was, I love
It's not
that
throwing
teacher.
a chair at a kid. Holy
Yes.
shit, guys.
Yeah. He was messed up.
All right, so your typing hasn't improved because you haven't done any.
I haven't really been in.
You should take that test that Caleb and I were racing
What did I
each
say
other with.
before? What the fuck did I say before?
No, we should just make you do it right now.
I don't know.
and
You
then
just
compare
drone
numbers.
on, and it just kind of turns into this. Wah, 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 wah,
It's-
wah,
I have to listen to this every day.
He turns into an adult from the Peanuts.
Yeah. Wah, 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 wah.
Shall we talk about my movies?
Yes, let's talk
not my childhood. Cameron decided to open up the can of worms, and then everybody
know-
talked over me.
I didn't know you had a large emotional connection to typing class in elementary school. I didn't know it was like the part of making of Joe.
Who could know that?
It's like this whole epic backstory. Have you ever seen Phineas and Ferb?
All right,
No.
so last Saturday, me and Caleb watched Barry Lyndon.
Yes, excellent.
The final Stanley Kubrick movie that neither of us had seen. And out of all the movies that I watched this week, it's the one that I've been thinking of the most. Just like, I'll be sitting there and I'll be like thinking of just some of the shots or some of the moments in Barry Lyndon. And it's an incredibly slow film on purpose, I think. Like, it's 3 hours long. It's a giant epic about a dude that you don't really understand, like, his motivations for anything, but he has them, I guess. And, like, I don't know. There's just scenes like the dueling scenes.
Yeah,
against
that's
each
epic.
other. That shit just sticks out. Or there's some shots where the camera will zoom out and it's like a beautiful painting.
Yeah, it's phenomenal as
It's-
far as the areas.
As far as cinematography is concerned, it is just incredible. And I think it's an incredible movie on top of that. I think it's a very quiet kind of film, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of depth there that I would like to rewatch Barry Lyndon a couple times.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I think out of the
solid,
Stanley Kubrick movies, I think I'd want to rewatch that one.
I want to
Again.
finish it because I got about halfway through. Because I left right as the intermission happened.
Yeah, intermission happened a minute after you went upstairs, or like you had gotten to the top
I was
of the
on
stairs.
the stair. No, I heard
and then
it
was the
changed. I
intermission.
saw it change the intermission because the little stairway. We had that little arch you can look through. And I saw it as it turned to intermission, but I was just done. It was bedtime.
Did you like what you saw, Cameron?
But as much as I saw, I was really enjoying the film. It was slow, but it pulls you in.
Yeah.
And it keeps you lingering. It's like a movie version. No, not quite a movie version of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. But it was slow, but in a way where it draws you in.
All right, fair enough. I can agree with that.
All right.
What else you got, Joe?
Next movie I saw with you as well, The Big Short,
What kind of a thing?
which was nominated for Best Picture this year.
Yeah, we paid way too much at the theater, by the way. The fucking popcorn. They're like, oh yeah, you can buy the
We didn't pay.
We didn't, no. But it was like $8
could
bucks
have.
for I don't know if I could have, actually.
The popcorn was a ridiculous price at the Winsung, but
Yeah, like give them my pinky finger.
the theater price wasn't that bad. $7.
No, it was good.
That was a really good movie. It was like, it started out kind of weird and really montagey, and I'm like, what is this movie? And then it got pretty funny when Steve Carell finally arrived.
Yeah.
And
I don't think he's that funny.
Well, when Steve Carell arrived, his first scene was with the taxi cab guy, and he's just keeps telling him, go fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'm like, oh, this movie's funny. At that point on, I'm like, oh, I have permission to laugh, because the movie deals with some questionable stuff as far as like gambling and finance and kind of corrupt
Screwing people over by the millions.
Yeah. And so
it's the crash of Wall Street.
Yeah, it's
in a movie it's hilarious though.
Yeah, it's got some great stuff in it. It's really fun, and I suggest people go see that. What did you see next?
None of these with you.
I know.
Get the fuck out of here.
Interstellar.
What do you mean?
How was Interstellar?
Interstellar was good. I thought it was really good until the last 30 minutes, and then I couldn't believe it anymore. It was like bullshit. I thought it was amazing. It was very 2001: A Space Odyssey-esque. It felt fucking awesome for the first 2 hours, I'd say. It was really good. And then the ending, it kind of fell apart in a lot of ways for me, but I still thought it was great. I thought the acting was really solid. The cinematography was amazing. And it had pretty good pacing. It was a longer film, but it didn't feel that long.
One thing I'll have to point out, because I noticed stuff like this, but
because you don't actually watch the movie.
I watched the movie.
You just look for things to point out.
No. You guys will understand as soon as I say it. But a character who adds a aspect of the movie is a watch, because he communicates to Murphy with the watch, and that watch is made by Hamilton. And there was a specially designed watch just for that, because of course they had to make it so that the second hand moved when they pressed the button. But that also boosted Hamilton's sales of that particular type of watch, because there was 2 Hamilton watches, one that he had and one that Murphy had.
Oh, sorry, what?
I love that the thing that Cam zones in on is the watch.
Yeah, he's just everyone's talking, and he's like,
and he stuck it up his ass.
and then he died of dysentery. And then I stuck it up my ass.
I saw King Kong versus Godzilla, the American version, which had new scenes and was re-edited.
Yeah, I almost called bullshit on him, but I'll give him credit. I'll allow it.
It was better than the Godzilla Raids Again American version. That's for sure. Dear White People was a movie I had to sit through. Not had to, but I chose to sit through. I got about halfway and I was like, if I weren't doing 366 movies in 366 days, I would turn this off right now and not regret leaving an unfinished movie.
Yeah.
It's a really thin movie where the message is too
ham-handed.
Yeah, I'd say that sounds right. All the white people in the movie either really love hip hop and are trying to be friends with the black people, or they
in a fantasy world,
or they're super offensive white people that create some black person dress up party. They all dress up in blackface. It's a blackface party, and they argue with the black people about black issues.
That sounds like a waste of time.
So I was watching the movie going, okay, is this really going to be an even-handed approach to certain, black and white issues? And it wasn't. It was very one-sided, but then at the end of the movie, she has been secretly dating a white person the whole time, and they hold hands, and that's the end of the movie. And I'm like, okay, and I didn't really care for anybody, even the main characters, the black characters, I didn't really care for. I don't know. I think it needed a rewrite or two. A lot of characters were one-dimensional, and the movie kind of went from place to place. It lacked focus really bad. And so I didn't really care for Dear White People. I thought it was going to be like a funny movie and it just wasn't.
It sounds like it would be a funny movie.
It was put under comedy, but then I went on Rotten Tomatoes. It has like a fucking 90%. I'm like, how the fuck does this movie have a 90%?
Did you click the like real critics button?
It's like 2.
I didn't. But here's the thing. Like, I feel like maybe critics are pressured to give the movie a good.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's probably truth.
I knew it.
So I felt like the movie was not very good, and I'm not watching it with like a political view or anything like that. I was really trying to watch it for character, and it was just kind of bad.
All right.
Just because its message is like I guess a good message to, it just wasn't the fact that it had to like slam the message down the fucking throat. That always bugs me in every movie, and so like I don't know. I really didn't care for it.
All right, what else was the next one? Casino that we watched. Again,
no, it wasn't. But we can talk about Casino.
All right, so Casino was pretty awesome. I mean, it's another team up of Scorsese and Robert De Niro, who is of course the greatest actor ever, and it also had Joe Pesci in it, and fucking awesome yet again. It's essentially, Joe was pointing this out, and I agree with him. It's basically Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street again, which is never a bad thing. I mean,
Never.
this
It's
guy,
fucking awesome.
I don't know how Scorsese does it, but he makes a 3-hour movie seem like 2 hours. It doesn't seem like it's taking 3 hours. It's just really well paced. It's not, 4 acts where the climax happens where it's supposed to in the third act, and it just fucking keeps going. It's just paced really well. There's some awesome lines.
Climax is technically the midpoint, but whatever.
I don't know. I think the ending is the climax for most things for me.
Well, no, people have different words but the classical term climax is in the middle, is in the midpoint of a 5-act structure.
Well, it's supposed to be 3 acts. That was one thing.
And then the rest is denouement.
Whatever.
Okay.
But it didn't feel like it took that long, and the performances were excellent as always from those two, and it had a twist. I mean, it showed what could have been the ending at the beginning, and then it wasn't. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Casino, and I put it just on, Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street, Casino, just like all 3 of those movies, wonderful 3-hour movies about terrible people.
Yeah.
Nice.
With a lot of narration and a lot of kind of zany montage.
I don't think
stuff.
I don't think De Niro's character was terrible though. So
No,
it's not really
I don't think
quite
so
the
either.
same.
It is slightly different than.
He's among terrible people though, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like he's the good guy.
It's pretty violent. Joe Pesci is, of course, nutso.
Yeah, psychopath.
So yeah, it was perfect. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so much. The last movie I saw this week was Brooklyn, which was nominated for Best Picture, so I just went and saw it, and it was really good. Believe it or not, a movie nominated for Best Picture was really good. The trailer for the movie blows ass, so don't watch the trailer before you go see Brooklyn, because you're gonna think it's a love triangle movie, and it's not. It's fucking not a love triangle movie. It's like a subplot within the full movie is a possible love triangle that never is a love triangle.
Yeah.
So fuck the trailer house that put that thing together. Cause I was going to watch the movie and I'm like, I'll watch the trailer. I watched the trailer and it's like, oh, but this one gentleman in Ireland is, and this other one in Brooklyn is, and like, the movie is about her trying to become an accountant and making a new life for herself in Brooklyn. And then she has problems with her mother back in Ireland that she has to deal with after something terrible happens with her family.
Okay.
And she has to leave her mother alone and start a new life for herself. And follow the path of her older sister. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with, like, the small love triangle plot? The fuck?
All right. So is that the last one you watched? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all 7. Or five. Yeah. I'm a couple behind.
In addition to the ones that I have discussed with Joe already, last Sunday I watched The Naked Gun, which is
I tried to watch that.
You didn't? How could you not watch it? It was hilarious. Were you busy or something?
I think I just watched something else instead.
Oh, you dog. It's pretty fucking funny. I want to play a scene from here, actually, real quick. Can we turn the sound on here?
Yeah.
I want you to know. Practice sex.
So there are these two people in these giant body condoms, and they just got onto the bed, and there's a giant condom like wrapper.
It's like bodysuit condom.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Practice safe sex. That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that movie was pretty funny. I mean, and it was only like an hour and a half, so it was not an overbearing comedy. A lot of times comedies can go on forever, and since it's such a subjective type of film, that can sometimes really just fucking ruin it. You know, it just doesn't need to be very long. So I thought that was a pretty good one. I also watched the first pairing of Robert De Niro and what is this? Scorsese, Mean Streets.
How was it?
It was great.
Okay.
Thought it was really good. It had the dude who plays the guy who dates.
The dude who plays the dude who dates the dude.
The dude who plays the guy who dates Janice, and she kills him in Sopranos. He's in that movie too.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good performance from De Niro. It was pretty solid. I mean, not
Is
the
there
best.
ever a bad performance from De Niro?
No, I don't think so. Not that I've seen, but I watched that, and did I watch anything else? I don't think I did.
Okay. Well, did you get fat?
No, I puked up all the way that I had possibly could last night. I was pretty sick.
You couldn't make it even to the restroom.
No, I did. I made it there. I just puked right there.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode of Nude Clan. I want to remind you guys to go to nudeclan.net, although we are doing some website maintenance, so whether or not that's going to be up is questionable. But, you know, you can always check the Ultima Final Fantasy Facebook page. It's going to have our episodes up anyway, and you can talk to us on there. Or actually, our Facebook page for Nude Clan. What is it again?
I don't know. It's some bullshit name. We couldn't get a legit one.
Look up Nude Clan on Facebook.
Yeah, you'll probably find it. I wouldn't worry too much about the Facebook.
You can find me at Joseph DeGollier. That's DEGOLYER.
I am at UFF Podcast.
And then I am at Nude Clan Cam.
And Obsidian Bah, B-A-H,
Okay.
as Joe wants me to say.
Bye. We'll see you guys.
All right, guys. May the list live on.
Enjoy the nude.
Let's go on.
Isn't it live always in the nude?
Yeah, that's
No,
one.
just enjoy the nude.
Live always in the nude.
No!